Chapter 123. In the continuous rain, he landed on a giant tree that was tens of thousands of feet tall. This tree covered the sky and was as lofty as a giant peak. It was the tree body of Old Man Ming Luo. After landing on the giant tree, a spirit sense that was even stronger than a fourth-layer void fragmentation realm spirit sense immediately scanned across Ning Fan. After sensing that Bright Sparrow was safe and sound, that spirit sense seemed to be slightly relieved. Enter this old man's body. An indifferent voice came from the gigantic tree. Immediately, the tree trunk in front of Ning Fan's cracked open, revealing a gigantic door that was tens of zhang tall. This tree was the Ming Luo tree, the original body of Old Man Ming Luo. Even the short and small old man who was at the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm was merely formed by the demonic soul of the Ming Luo tree spirit. His original body was a tree that grew in the dark and gloomy underground. He hated fire, and his original body couldn't leave the ground. The aura force of his true body was extremely strong. It was a piece of cake for him to kill that fourth heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old man with snake scales. Since he could not leave the ground, the tree spirit could only leave his body to search for Bright Sparrow. That was why the monsters on the 8th level could take advantage of him. If the demons of the 8th floor dared to behave atrociously in the 9th floor, Ming Luo would turn all of them into his fertilizer. Ning Fan was slightly stunned by Ming Luo's true strength. When he thought about it, Ming Luo seemed to owe him a favor. If he asked Ming Luo to help him kill Wuxia Emperor, Ming Luo would most likely not reject it. But unfortunately, Ming Luo's main body couldn't leave the 9th level, and his clone was restricted. Every time he went up a level, his cultivation would drop a little, and he couldn't leave the Dark Sparrow's tomb. Just like what Ming Luo had said, there was only one way for him to leave Dark Sparrow's grave: burning his demon soul, and using his death as the price to break the law of heaven and earth. Thinking of this, Ning Fan let out a bitter smile. Asking Ming Luo to kill Wuxia Sovereign was somewhat unrealistic. Moreover, Ning Fan was more inclined to take Wuxia Sovereign's life with his own hands. Of course, the prerequisite was that he had the confidence to kill Wuxia Sovereign. Within the giant tree, there were 9 bends and 10 bends, slowly bending towards the world at the heart of the tree. At the heart of the tree, there was a magnificent wooden palace. As soon as a short black-robed old man saw Ning Fan, he immediately came out to welcome him. The void poison has been suppressed. He sounded extremely excited. Looking at Bright Sparrow, who was sleeping peacefully in Ning Fan's arms, his eyes were filled with affection. "Fortunately, I didn't fail you," Ning Fan said indifferently. "All right. Good. Go to Bright Sparrow's room and let her rest for a period of time to recover her demonic essence." He placed Bright Sparrow on the bed in the room and allowed her to rest temporarily. Outside the house, Ning Fan stared at the short old man with a solemn expression. The short old man in front of him was Ming Luo Treant. He was a void fragmentation expert, but Ning Fan felt so tiny in front of his true body in the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave. Ming Luo's true body was much stronger than Wuxia Emperor. Ning Fan had fulfilled his request and cured Bright Sparrow. According to this demon's character, he probably wouldn't bite the hand that fed him, but life was unpredictable. Ning Fan had to be extra careful since he was in a dangerous place. He secretly held a wisp of true soul in his sleeve. It was the soul of Ming Luo. His tone was indifferent. "I've fulfilled Senior's request. Right now, can I make a third request to Senior?" There was not a trace of carelessness in Ning Fan's eyes. This was the cautious way of living in the world. Once Ming Luo made any strange move, he would crush his true soul and greatly damage his cultivation. "Hee hee, little friend, you've saved Bright Sparrow. If you have any request, just say it. Don't worry, I'm Ming Luo. I'm an open and above-board person. I'll never go back on my words to my friends." Ming Luo's words were neither red nor breathless. Open and above-board. He seemed to have forgotten that he had sneak-attacked Ning Fan. How was that open and above-board? Ning Fan gave Ming Luo a strange look. He didn't expose the past to avoid embarrassment. This Ming Luo seemed to care about his face. In order to save Bright Sparrow, Ning Fan made 3 requests. First, Ming Luo had to hand over a wisp of true soul in exchange. Second, Ming Luo had to use a 10,000-year-old spiritual herb to cure Bright Sparrow's poison. Ning Fan didn't get any benefit from either of the two requests. It seemed like he was suffering a loss, but in fact he had a third request. Moreover, there was a big mystery in the first request. Perhaps, Ning Fan would have to trick this treant. Since Ming Luo had agreed to Ning Fan's third request, Ning Fan wouldn't be polite anymore. I'm sure Senior can guess my third request. I want the Ming Luo fruit. Sure enough, you want the Ming Luo fruit. Alright, this old man will agree to it. But, how many Ming Luo fruits do you want? I only have 3 with me now. If you want the 4th one, you will have to enter my Ming Luo illusory realm to pluck it. Ming Luo's eyes froze and looked at Ning Fan. Ming Luo illusory realm? That's right. In this illusory realm, there are countless of Ming Luo fruits, but I can't enter this realm myself. Bright Sparrow is unconscious now, so she can't enter either. If you want to enter, I will make an exception and let you enter once. Ming Luo's tone was flat as if he was talking about something casual, but Ning Fan was slightly moved. In the memory of ancient chaos, there seemed to be a mention of the place where the Ming Luo fruit grew. The Ming Luo illusory realm. However, this illusory realm had never allowed any races other than the demon race to enter. Ming Luo's sincerity in opening the illusory realm for him was not small. Moreover, it was said that the illusory power of this illusory realm disregarded one's cultivation base. The number of Ming Luo fruits one could pluck depended entirely on the firmness of one's Dao heart. It had nothing to do with one's cultivation base. Even a void fragmentation cultivator might be bewitched by the illusory realm and return empty-handed without being able to pluck a single Ming Luo fruit. With a trace of Ming Luo's true soul in his hand, Ning Fan wasn't worried that Ming Luo would harm him. Moreover, Ning Fan wouldn't be foolish enough to refuse the opportunity to obtain more Ming Luo fruits. Thank you, Senior, for opening the illusory realm for me. Sure. Seeing that you have saved Bright Sparrow, I will remind you again. Don't be greedy when you enter the illusory realm. As long as you close your eyes and wait for the illusory power to dissipate, you can easily obtain a Ming Luo fruit before the illusory realm closes. Young man, don't be greedy. 4 Ming Luo fruits is already a lot. Thank you for your reminder, Senior Ming Luo. I will keep it in mind. However, I still want to try my best to pluck a Ming Luo fruit without resorting to trickery. Forget it. If you are eroded by the illusory power, I will forcefully take you out. Ming Luo shook his head. He praised Ning Fan's courage, but he didn't think that Ning Fan could obtain half a Ming Luo fruit from the illusory realm without resorting to trickery. The illusory power was directed at the weakest part of the human heart. Devil Dao cultivation techniques would be more susceptible to the illusory power. This young man seemed to be a devil cultivator of the human race, so it would be harder for him to resist the illusory power. Ming Luo firmly believed that Ning Fan would gain nothing in the illusory realm, but he still opened the illusory realm for him as a reward for saving Bright Sparrow. Ming Luo's 10 fingers formed a seal. After a ray of light, a mysterious space appeared outside the Tree Core Palace, faintly emitting an extremely strong illusory power. Ning Fan took a step into it. After the time it took for half an incense stick to burn after Ning Fan entered the illusory realm, Ming Luo's expression suddenly changed. He sensed that Ning Fan had broken through the illusory realm and plucked the first Ming Luo fruit. This young man actually plucked a Ming Luo fruit. Ming Luo's expression gradually turned solemn. He seemed to have underestimated Ning Fan. To be able to pluck a Ming Luo fruit meant that Ning Fan must be a person with a heart of stone. As a human devil cultivator, he was able to pluck a Ming Luo fruit. This young man was extraordinary. It's a pity that this young man is destined to not be able to pluck a second Ming Luo fruit. In the Ming Luo illusory realm, the more Ming Luo fruit one plucked, the stronger the illusory power would be. The difficulty of plucking the next fruit would also increase. Since the establishment of my Ming Luo tree clan, countless experts had entered the Ming Luo illusory realm, but there were less than 100 people who could pluck a second Ming Luo fruit at this young man's age. Ming Luo muttered to himself in a low voice, but before he could finish his words, his eyes were filled with surprise. He sensed that Ning Fan had plucked the second Ming Luo fruit in the illusory realm. The second fruit. Even among the human race, Those young experts who cultivated the righteous profound cultivation technique would find it hard to resist the illusory power of the second Mingluo fruit. If he can pluck the third Mingluo fruit before the age of 20, then he can be considered as a heaven's chosen. Mingluo's heart was filled with anticipation, anticipating Ningfan to do something amazing. But to his disappointment, Ningfan hadn't plucked the third Mingluo fruit even after half an hour, as if he was trapped by the illusory power. Mingluo sighed slightly. It seemed like he had overestimated this young man. In the illusory realm, Ningfan was holding two Mingluo fruits, standing in the boundless seven-colored world. Rivers were flowing in the sky, mountains were hanging upside down in the sky, beasts were walking upside down. This was an illusory realm that subverted common sense. Thousands of seven-colored fruits were floating in the sky, seemingly real and illusory at the same time. Among them, only some were real while the rest were fake. If one plucked a fake fruit, the illusory power would enter his body. As soon as he entered the illusory realm, he activated the first level of yin-yang transformation. An immortal emperor's cultivation technique had a great resistance against the illusory power. As soon as this cultivation technique was activated, Ningfan immediately found a real Mingluo fruit and plucked it successfully. But immediately, the surrounding illusory power doubled, making it hard for Ningfan to identify it again. Fortunately, after pondering for a long time, Ningfan finally found out the whereabouts of a real Mingluo fruit from a trace of it, and plucked it into his bosom. However, the illusory power in the surroundings immediately doubled. At this point, the first level of yin-yang transformation couldn't identify the real Mingluo fruit at all. At this moment, Ningfan had an idea. He might as well take a gamble, but he was wrong. He held the third Mingluo fruit in his hand, but it was fake. As soon as it touched his hand, it immediately burst into bursts of seven-colored mist, enveloping Ningfan. Ningfan's expression changed. He knew that his body had been invaded by the illusory power. He immediately revealed a vigilant look and scanned the surroundings, but nothing happened. But after a burst of fragrance, the naked figures of countless women suddenly appeared in front of him. After Ningfan let out a cold snort, these illusory figures exploded and returned to the seven-colored mist. But immediately, the seven-colored mist condensed into a familiar figure of a woman. The girl in front of him was wearing a fox fur coat and had her hair combed into a maiden's bun. She was looking at Ningfan pitifully. "Big brother Fan, if you kill Jiha, you can break free from the illusory power. You can even obtain a Mingluo fruit. But are you willing to do it?" This Jiha was undoubtedly an illusion formed by the illusory power. "Jiha." Ningfan closed his eyes. A trace of desolation appeared in his eyes. Kill the illusion and obtain the Mingluo fruit. But if he didn't, he would be trapped by the illusory power. The Jiha in front of him was just an illusion. Ningfan only needed to summon the Separation Slayer, and he could easily break this illusion, but he couldn't slash this sword, even if it was an illusion. The illusory power went straight to one's heart. How was this illusory power? This was clearly the heart's devil. If I slash this sword, not only will I obtain the Mingluo fruit, but it will also greatly benefit me in breaking through to the gold core realm and severing my emotions in the future. However, if I slash this sword down, it will be a blasphemy to Jiha. I don't want this Mingluo fruit anymore. Ningfan's eyes flashed with a trace of determination. At this moment, the last trace of greed for the Mingluo fruit in his heart had dispersed, leaving only perseverance. The moment the greed dispersed, the Jiha in front of him suddenly exploded into colorful mist, and the clouds of mist vanished rapidly. The illusory power was finally broken, and there was a Mingluo fruit at the place where the colorful mist exploded. However, there wasn't a trace of joy on Ningfan's face. There was only a sigh. Severing my emotions, severing my heart's devil. Although I didn't slash Jiha, I still managed to escape once. I wonder if I can escape again the next time I form my core. But I finally know the way to take away the Mingluo fruit. Over there is thoughtless. In the end, Ningfan can't achieve thoughtless. But even if Ningfan can't do it, Mo Ning can. Ningfan's eyes flickered with contemplation. A moment later, he patted the top of his head, immediately transforming into two figures in white and black. The one in white was Bai Fan, and the one in black was Mo Ning. Bai Fan had a smile on his face, but he was immediately bewitched by the illusory power. As for Hei Yi, his heart was as cold as a stone. There was no temptation that could move his heart. Do I want to take away these Ming Luo fruits? Humph, it doesn't matter if they are real or fake, I'll just take them away. He waved his hand fiercely and immediately obtained dozens of Ming Luo fruits from the countless floating Ming Luo fruits. At the same time, a heaven-defying illusory power swept toward the black-robed man. But he was not affected at all. I thoughtless, how can you bewitch me? Break! The illusory power was shattered by his cold gaze. In the outside world, Ming Luo had been waiting for a long time, but he still couldn't see Ning Fan getting the third Ming Luo fruit, which made him feel slightly regretful. The time for the illusion to close was about to come, but there was still no sign of Ning Fan coming out. What did he actually do inside? Forget it, he must have been trapped by the illusory power after obtaining 2 Ming Luo fruits. Let me save him. Ming Luo shook his head. When he was about to take action and forcefully pull Ning Fan out, his eyes suddenly turned solemn. That solemn expression turned into astonishment at an astonishing speed. And the astonishment became even more intense. He has obtained the third Ming Luo fruit. Wait, he has obtained the fourth, the fifth, this. Ming Luo's eyes were dazed. He realized that for the first time in his life, the Ming Luo illusory realm began to show signs of collapse before it closed. What did that kid actually do in the illusory realm? He actually caused the illusory realm to collapse in advance. With a rumbling sound, 2 rays of black and white light rushed out from the illusory realm, turning into the figure of a young man in white and black cloak. At the next moment, the illusory realm closed with a loud bang. What a pity! Hei Yi is a little too reckless. Otherwise, he could have obtained a few more Ming Luo fruits, but he only obtained 10. You obtained 10 Ming Luo fruits in the illusory realm. Ming Luo's zombie-like face twisted into a ball because of disbelief. 10 fruits. In the history of the Ming Luo tree clan, those who could obtain 10 Ming Luo fruits in a trip to the illusory realm were all experts above the nascent soul realm. As for nascent soul experts, no matter how monstrous they would at least be a few hundred years old. Even if they cultivated using the isolated world force like the Lost World Palace, they would still need to go through hundreds of years of tempering in the illusory realm. Without hundreds of years of experience, it was impossible to resist the illusory power of the 10th Ming Luo fruit. But Ning Fan's bone age didn't seem to be 20 years old no matter how Ming Luo looked at him. If Ming Luo knew that Ning Fan's incarnation in the illusory realm could ignore the illusory power, he would certainly be more shocked. I was just lucky. Ning Fan smiled bitterly. It was indeed a bitter smile. When he was invaded by the Heart Devil and faced the interrogation of the Heart Devil that killed Jiha, he avoided it. But could he avoid it the next time he broke through to the Gold Core realm? Because his Heart Devil was Jiha. Chapter 124. The injuries from the fire spirit's attack were healed. The state of mind that was invaded by the chaotic force was calmed. After a long time, Ning Fan gently exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. He waved his palm and took out a fiery red demon core, his eyes sparkling. Fire Spirit Demon Core. Demon core is something that human cultivators can never consume directly. They can only refine it into a pill and consume it. However, the 5-spirit demon core is an exception. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth are the 5 origin spirits. If they develop intelligence and become demons, their demon cores can be consumed directly by cultivators. However, there's a cultivation-based restriction. If a cultivator wants to consume the 5-spirit demon core, his cultivation base must be at least 1 realm higher than the owner of the demon core. Ning Fan fell into silence. The fire spirit demon core in front of him was a type of 5-spirit demon core. It was sought after by countless peak gold core, and even nascent soul cultivators. If his true body were to refine it, he would be devoured by the demon core due to his insufficient cultivation base. Moreover, even if his true body could refine the demon core, his magical power had already reached the peak before the core formation realm, and couldn't advance any further. Ning Fan let out a sigh and suddenly thought of something. If he couldn't refine it, Could his black-clothed incarnation refine it? The black-clothed incarnation's strength was the same as his true body's spirit sense, which was at the half-step nascent soul realm. Plus, it could be separated from his body. If he stayed in the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave to refine the fire spirit demon core, he might be able to reach the nascent soul realm in the grave. Stay in the grave and break through to the nascent soul realm. Ultimately, the strength of the incarnation came from the power of spirit sense. There were small bottlenecks in the improvement of spirit sense, but not as big as the bottleneck of core formation realm. With the help of so many fire spirit demon cores, 3 months would be enough for his spirit sense to break through to the nascent soul realm. When his spirit sense broke through to the nascent soul realm, his black-clothed incarnation would possess the strength of a nascent soul realm expert and sweep across Yu country. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. If his spirit sense reached the nascent soul realm, even if his cultivation base hadn't reached core formation realm, his black-clothed incarnation would have the strength to fight against a true nascent soul realm expert. But immediately, his eyes revealed a trace of doubt. There were 2 safety issues that he had to consider. First of all, the black-clothed cultivator swallowed the fire spirit demon core in the mouth of the volcano. Under the might of the 4th grade fire spirit, the spiritual chi would be overwhelming, and it would definitely increase the chances of him forming his nascent soul. Ming Luo's hostility towards Ning Fan had decreased a lot. However, it was because it was unpredictable of Ming Luo's heart. But he couldn't guarantee that Ming Luo would not change his mind and attack. There was a solution to this problem. He still had a trace of his true soul with him. He had Ning. He had with him soul. When he of it. He said that he wanted the true soul, but he did not promise to return the true soul to Ming Luo after he cured Bright Sparrow. He was afraid that Ming Luo would ask for his true soul before leaving the Dark Sparrow's grave. Ning Fan would leisurely stand in the 1st level of the Dark Sparrow's grave in the teleportation formation, bargaining with Ming Luo's vein-opening clone, exchanging his true soul for some benefits. Ming Luo had launched a sneak attack on Ning Fan and Ning Fan had tricked him once. But later on Ming Luo activated the Ming Luo illusion realm for Ning Fan. This matter could be considered as offsetting the previous sneak attack. As for Ning Fan, no matter how thick-skinned he was, he would be too embarrassed to threaten Ming Luo at this moment. The last bit of use of this true soul was gone. But if he didn't return it to Ming Luo for the time being, it could be used as a safeguard for his clone in the Dark Sparrow's grave. Then this true soul would still be of great use. In this way, the problem of the black-clothed incarnation's safety in forming his nascent soul had been solved, however, leaving half of his incarnation in Dark Sparrow's grave, and leaving only his white-clothed incarnation. 3 months later, when Extreme Een Gate attacked Ning City, it would be hard for him to contend against Old Devil Purple Een, and the others with just his white-clothed incarnation. The white-clothed incarnation inherited his cultivation base and physical body, while the black-clothed incarnation inherited his sea of consciousness and sword sense. If the black-clothed remained in Dark Sparrow's grave, the white-clothed incarnation could still sense him with spirit sense, but he wouldn't be able to use the heaven-defying means of sword sense. If the black-clothed could break through to nascent soul realm before Extreme Een Gate attacked, he might be able to reverse the situation. But if the black-clothed encountered an accident after breaking through to nascent soul realm, he would have to use his peak harmonious spirit cultivation base to contend against Old Devil Purple Yin's half-step nascent soul strength. Ning Fan's spirit sense swept across the volcano and his eyes wrinkled. The volcano that was burning with the 4th grade spiritual fire had started to extinguish because of Blackrobe's massacre of the fire spirits. He didn't know how many thousands or tens of thousands of them had been killed, but he only managed to obtain a few hundred demon cores. If he missed this chance to enter seclusion, there wouldn't be such a good place for seclusion anymore. Not every place under the heavens had a 4th grade spirit fire waiting for him. After all, a small 4th grade spirit fire could be sold at a sky-high price in the outside world. The fire of this volcano isn't fire, but demonic energy. It can't be brought out of Dark Sparrow's grave, and began to extinguish after the fire spirits were killed. If I miss this chance, it will be extremely difficult for the black-clothed to break through to nascent soul realm. If I let the black-clothed form his nascent soul, the white-clothed will have to face a lot of dangers. Fine, I'll make a compromise. The black-clothed will form his nascent soul here, and the white-clothed will leave Dark Sparrow's grave and return to Ning City. If the black-clothed hasn't formed his nascent soul when Ning City is attacked, I'll give up this chance and let the black-clothed return to Ning City. Ning Fan made up his mind and immediately patted the top of his head. With a flash of brilliance, the black-clothed incarnation was separated from the black-clothed incarnation. The black-clothed incarnation and the white-clothed incarnation had a tacit understanding. He took all the demon cores and went straight to the extinguishing volcano with a trace of demonic soul. As for the white-clothed incarnation, he patted his storage pouch and took out a Minluo fruit, remaining silent. The Minluo fruit was only the size of a lychee. Its surface was rough, similar to the surface of the stars in ancient Chaos's memory. However, there were traces of 7 colored veins densely covering it, gleaming with dim light and rippling with the power of illusion. The Minluo fruit, also known as the dream fruit, could allow a cultivator to gain 50 years of mental state. The way to improve mental state was to enter a dream with the help of the Minluo fruit. In a dream, only one night had passed in the outside world, but 50 years had passed in the dream. 50 years of dream wasn't enough to improve one's cultivation base, but it could make one's mental state calm. Ever since I started cultivating the devil path, my cultivation base has been improving rapidly, but my mental state has always been lacking. Mental state can only be accumulated over time, and can't be obtained through pills. I'm afraid there's nothing else in this world that can improve mental state except for the Minluo fruit. I'm going to take the first Minluo fruit in Dark Sparrow's grave. The white-clothed Ning Fan smiled faintly. He put the Minluo fruit in his mouth and bit it. A stream of 7-colored illusion force immediately made his eyelids heavy, sinking him into the dreamland. It was a dream. In the Ning family of Hai Ning, a 3-year-old child with blank eyes was being led into the servants' courtyard of the Ning family. Beside the emerald green jade pond river, countless children in Hai Ning City were also being led into the Ning family with blank eyes. Most of the children were orphans and beggars. They were found by the cultivators of the Ning family from all over Wu country. Their memories were erased, and they were accepted into the Ning family as their disciples. Those who had the aptitude for immortal cultivation were called young masters. Those who didn't have the aptitude were reduced to servants, or the foster sons of servants. The 3-year-old child was following behind a skinny middle-aged man in a submissive manner. The middle-aged man said coldly with a snobbish expression, "From today onwards, you will be called Ning Fan. You're my foster son. Before you, I had another foster son. He's 1 year younger than you. His name is Ninggu." "Oh," the 3-year-old child answered carefully. When he heard the name Ning Fan, he found it extremely familiar. When he heard Ninggu, he felt a little sad. He didn't understand what this feeling was. He was just a 3-year-old child. While thinking, the child named Ning Fan couldn't help but halt his steps. He stood there foolishly with blank eyes. "Why? I want to be called Ning Fan. Can I not be called this? Mother said that my surname is Yun." Hiss. A 3-year-old child's memory has been erased. How could he still remember his previous life? Humph, I'll have to ask the immortal master to erase your memory again. This time, it must be more thorough. Ning Dainyu was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth. This child in front of him was the first to remember his original name, after having his memory erased by the immortal master. His eyes moved. Could this child in front of him be a monster? Otherwise, how could it be like this? While he was pondering, a youth in white robe and black cloak gently walked towards him from behind. Although the youth was thin and weak, there wasn't a trace of chi in his footsteps. Obviously, he was a cultivator and not a mortal. Ning Dainyu greets Grandpa Immortal Master. All cultivators were immortal masters in Ning Dainyu's eyes. Ning Dainyu knelt down in front of the youth. He was afraid, very afraid. He had seen with his own eyes that an immortal master killed 207 bandits in a mountain. Immortal masters were revered existences in Wu country. Even the patriarch of Ning family treated an immortal master with great respect. He, Ning Dainyu, couldn't afford to offend an immortal master. However, the young cultivator didn't even look at Ning Dainyu. Instead, His eyes fell on Ning Fan's child with reminiscence. Your name is Ning Fan, right? That's a good name. Did you say your surname is Yin? N. Xiao Tong answered obediently. Unknowingly, Xiao Tong had an instinctive sense of closeness towards the youth in front of him. Ning Fan, perhaps your original name is Yin Fan. I didn't expect to see this trace of memory from the depths of my memory after refining the Ming Luo fruit. But so what if you know your original surname? Ning family adopts orphans. You have no parents after all. There's no difference whether your surname is Yun or Ning. The youth sighed. Oh. Ning Fan nodded, although he didn't understand a word of what the uncle in front of him said. After the youth sighed, his eyes suddenly focused and his chi surged violently. Let me ask you, do you have the heart to go against the heaven? I don't understand. Xiao Tong seemed to have recalled something and revealed a look of fear. Forget it. The first Ming Luo fruit. Your heart is still too young. It's not the right time to return to Hai Ning and eliminate your heart devil. The youth sighed and rolled up his sleeves. Under Ning Dania's shocked gaze, both of them vanished without a trace. The dream was broken. When the dream was restored, a desolate and uninhabited land appeared in front of them. The scenes of the demon sinister forest reappeared. 50 years. You have to watch me kill people. The young man stepped into the demon sinister forest with the boy and started the endless massacre. When Xiao Tong first saw blood and broken bones, he was so scared that he fainted and vomited countless times. However, his young heart was maturing again and again. For 50 years, the youth and Xiao Tong didn't have a single conversation. For 50 years, the youth destroyed countless ghosts with a single slash of his sword. However, each time a ghost died, it would reform. There was no end to the massacre because this was a dream. Loneliness, exhaustion, and numbness to killing. Xiao Tong's eyes gradually revealed a resolute and cold look. I wonder if I have the heart to go against the heaven at this moment. I wonder if I can sever my emotions at this moment. Xiao Tong's voice was young, but his expression was as cold as the god of slaughter. Then 50 years of massacre, the dream was shattered. In the world of the tree heart in the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. There was a trace of exhaustion and vicissitudes in his eyes. Only one night had passed in the outside world, but in this dream, he had experienced 50 years of loneliness and massacre. He closed his eyes to calm his mind. After a long time, he opened his eyes again. The exhaustion and vicissitudes in his eyes were gone, but his eyes were completely different from before he entered the grave. His mental state had been improved. 50 years. However, he didn't feel happy at all, only sighing. It's not enough. I don't have the heart to go against the heaven. If I don't sever my emotions, I can't form my core. But I won't sever my emotions. Chapter 125. His mental state had already reached the peak of harmonious spirit realm, which was in line with his cultivation base. One more step, and he would reach the gold core realm, where he would have to face the heart devil. As such, the Min Luo fruit could only be eaten when she was truly forming her gold core. Bright Sparrow was still unconscious and undergoing a transformation. However, Ning Fan was unwilling to stay in the Dark Sparrow's grave any longer. After staying in the Dark Sparrow's grave for a few days, perhaps the ancestor of Fire Cloud sect had already collected the elixirs for the nascent solidifying pill and the corpse life pill. It was time for him to return to the sect to refine the elixirs and prepare for the battle 3 months later. He took one last look at the unconscious Bright Sparrow. She was as pure as a petite princess. This little girl seemed to make him have an instinctive liking for her. But he didn't know why. Just like Ming Luo, the dignified Ming Luo Treant, a supreme figure in Dark Sparrow's grave, treated this little girl like a junior. The power of the dark demon was really a strange power. It made people unable to have the intention to harm it. I'm leaving. He turned around and left with Ming Luo's clone. As he was leaving, Bright Sparrow's eyelashes fluttered. She wanted to open her eyes, but she was too tired. Biscuit brother. Profound treasure. Cloud treasure. I will give them all to you. She was talking in her sleep. Ning Fan, who had left, did not hear her words. The short old man Ming Luo rode an immortal cloud to send Ning Fan out of the Dark Sparrow's grave. Ning Fan told Ming Luo about his incarnation going into seclusion in the volcano. His true soul also said that it would return after 3 months. Ming Luo hesitated for a moment, but he didn't care too much about his true soul. With his cultivation base, the black-robed Ning Fan would not be able to leave the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave without his permission. Thus, he was not worried that the black-robed Ning Fan would escape with his true soul. The one who escorted Ning Fan away was still the body of the short old man, but this time, Ming Luo was much more cautious. He had used almost all of the power of his demon soul, and the strength of his clone had reached the 5th layer of the void fragmentation realm. If he encountered the old man in snake scales again, he would not be afraid. In the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, the rain came out of nowhere and the divine will of magic arts. In the 8th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, the heaven-defying rain contained the lofty ambition of defying the heavens and slaying the heavens. It was infused with Kei Shenxi's lifelong defiance. Ning Fan left in the opposite direction and looked at the rain again. Because the time was different, the purpose was different and the state of mind was different, the rain was different too. The rain lingered in his heart for a long time. From the 8th layer of rain, he gained the confidence to slay his inner demons. The only way to reach the core formation stage without severing one's emotions was to have such a state of mind. The heart of defying the heavens. Ning Fan, who was dressed in white, slowly closed his eyes and comprehended in the rain. In the 7th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, the thunderstorm was infused with Kei Shenxi's will to fight. The rain of swords in the 6th level of Dark Sparrow's grave was infused with Kei Shenxi's killing intent. The 5th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, the ice rain, the place where the divine intent of rain was first condensed. The 4th layer, autumn rain. The 3rd layer, the rainless realm. The 2nd layer, summer rain. The 1st layer, spring rain. Standing beside the teleportation formation of the 1st level of Dark Sparrow's grave, Ning Fan was lost in his thoughts. The rain on the 1st floor was exactly the same as the rain on the 9th floor. It was as if all the rain had returned to its original spot after a round. The raindrops might look the same, but one was Yin rain while the other was the transformation of the divine will. The cultivation of the divine intent of rain was a circle. By fusing it into one's Tao heart and cultivating it back to its original point, one would be able to reach perfection. The current Ning Fan had condensed a trace of his divine intent, but he had yet to complete that circle. This circle could only be completed when he reached the spirit-severing realm and understood the heavenly Tao. It was because that circle contained the original appearance of the heavenly Tao. After 50 years of improvement in his mental state, Ning Fan still looked thin and weak, but he was no longer immature. At the age of 18, he was no longer a teenager, but a smiling white-robed youth. Senior Ming Luo, I have some misunderstandings with you in this grave, but I've gained a lot of benefits from you. Once again, thank you. He cupped his fists at Ming Luo, turned and stepped into the teleportation formation, teleporting away by the void force. Hee, I'll come back to see Bright Sparrow if I have the chance. That little girl seems to like you very much. Ming Luo's impression of Ning Fan had improved a lot after witnessing Ning Fan's means and character several times. The sword sense slashed the soul of the snake-scaled old man. 5th Revolution Pill Concoction Technique. Suppressing the void poison. Ming Luo's illusory realm strangely dissipated. Moreover, the white-robed youth had condensed a black-robed incarnation. The incarnation was completely condensed without a trace of flaw. Even a void fragmentation old monster might not be able to do it, but Ning Fan had done it. This kid is extraordinary and has a good character. He's enough to be a good match for Bright Sparrow. However, it's better to wait for Bright Sparrow to grow up. Ming Luo looked at the direction where Ning Fan left, revealing a rare smile of relief. Bright Sparrow's void poison had been suppressed. His mood was very good. However, that little demon snake Ji dared to scheme against me. I have to settle this score with him. A cold light flashed in Ming Luo's eyes. It had been a long time since he got angry. It was time to set off a rain of blood in the 8th level of Dark Sparrow's grave. With a flash of light, Ning Fan appeared in the Earth Primordial Palace. Outside the palace were Ji He and the other girls who had left Dark Sparrow's grave under his order. Ji He was very worried, so was Lan Mei. Even Si Wuxia, who had something wrong with her, was slightly worried. But the moment Ning Fan left the formation light, her brows relaxed a little. Brother Fan, you're out. Are you alright? You seem to have changed into another person. Ji looked at Ning Fan's white-robed, smiling and silent expression, feeling slightly strange. In just a few days, Ning Fan's body had undergone too many transformations. Ji could see some clues. Lan Mei also had a faint feeling, but they couldn't understand it. As for Yen Bai, he could feel a trace of qi that was as steady as a mountain from Ning Fan. Although he didn't say it, he was quite surprised inwardly. Ning Fan's eyes were so steady. In just a few days, his mental state seemed to have improved rapidly in the center of Dark Sparrow's grave. Not only had his mental state improved, but his cultivation base had also reached the half-step gold core realm from the peak of harmonious spirit realm. He had even condensed a false core in his body. This kid isn't far from core formation realm. Yanbai's old eyes shrank. His dread towards Ning Fan deepened. As for Xueqing, he could smell a trace of the fragrance of a 10,000-year-old spiritual herb from Ning Fan's body. After the improvement of his concoction technique, Ning Fan's temperament had become even more extraordinary. Ordinary people couldn't see it, but as a third revolution pill master, Xueqing could vaguely sense it. A 10,000-year-old spiritual herb, and the temperament of a Grand Master alchemist. All of these made Xueqing's eyes blaze. He guessed that Ning Fan's concoction technique must have improved again. Could it be that there was an opportunity in the lower level of Dark Sparrow's grave that could improve one's concoction technique? I've missed the opportunity. If I knew that I could improve my concoction technique, I would have followed Master down there even if I had to die. Xueqing regretted. In the end, he didn't speculate whether Ning Fan's concoction technique had broken through to the fifth revolution or not. He was afraid that Ning Fan would tell him about it very soon. As his eyes swept across Ji, Ning Fan had a vague feeling that things remained the same, but the people had changed. Only a few days had passed in the outside world, but he was alone in his dream and had experienced 50 years of slaughter. By the way, Brother Fan, you asked us to leave the Dark Sparrow's grave at that time. What happened? Did you encounter danger? Old Qing had told us about it. Did you go to a very dangerous place? Ji was still worried. Xueqing's face turned ugly when he was called Old Qing by Ji, but he could only smile apologetically. He could only accept whatever his master's wife wanted to call him. And there was a little danger, but it's all over now. Ning Fan smiled faintly and lovingly stroked Jihe's beautiful hair. In front of everyone, Jihe's face turned red. She was already 14 years old. Her breasts were already half erect. She was already slim and graceful. Moreover, she had a harmonious spirit cultivation base. She was no longer that silly little girl, but a young lady with bright eyes. Without Jihe, Ning Fan might have died in the all-pleasure sect. Without Jihe, he wouldn't have stepped on the path of evil cultivation. Ever since he met Jihe, his fate had changed again and again. And this time, Jihe had become his heart's devil. Ning Fan didn't tell Jihe about everything. He just smiled. Smiling was an expression that had nothing to do with one's mood. He smiled not because he wasn't worried, but because he didn't want Jihe to worry. It's been a long time since we dual cultivated. He suddenly teased Jihe. This teasing caused Jihe's face to turn as red as a tomato in a split second. As for Lan Mei, her eyes were filled with envy and resentment. As for Xueqing, he secretly raised his thumb to Ning Fan. He was indeed worthy of being his master. His skin was really thick. He dared to talk about dual cultivation in front of others. He was just like old Monster Han. That night, Ning Fan and Jihe slept on the same pillow in the dual cultivation palace. Sometimes there was a sensual moan coming from the courtyard. 3 days later, old ancestor Jingjua had finally gathered enough herbs. He possessed Lady Yunhua's body and arrived at Sinister Sparrow Sect. In Sinister Sparrow Sect, the last thing was to refine Nascent Forming Pill, Nascent Fortifying Pill and Corpse Life Pill for Jingjua. The Corpse Life Pill was just a third revolution pill, but the Nascent Formation Pill and Nascent Fortifying Pill were fourth revolution pills. With Ning Fan's fifth revolution pill concoction technique, the time needed to concoct these two pills was even shorter. Half a month was enough for him to concoct 2 fourth revolution dawn. The only thing he needed to be prepared was to set up a formation to isolate the phenomenon of the fourth revolution pill. The phenomenon was too huge. Ningfan didn't want anyone to know that revered Ning of Sinister Sparrow sect was a fourth revolution pill master, Black Devil Ning. After the battle with Extreme Gate, there was no way to conceal this matter anymore. But at least at this moment, it was not a good time to reveal this matter. This was to prevent Old Devil Purple Een from knowing about it, and increase the number of variables. The nascent realm grand formation of the Dan Palace was arranged by the old ancestor of the Sinister Sparrow sect in the lower world. After being modified by Ningfan, the grade of the formation became higher. The parts that were damaged were perfected, and it also had the magical effect of isolating the fourth revolution Dan Qi. In this way, there would be less trouble from the heavenly tribulation, and it would be much easier. Ningfan specially allowed Xueqing to enter the pill concoction room to observe him concoct pills. This made Xueqing extremely excited. He finally had the chance to observe Ningfan concoct fourth revolution pills. A fourth revolution pill master was in existence that even nascent soul cultivators would treat with respect. A fifth revolution pill master was a grandmaster that even spirit-severing cultivators would treat with respect. Ningfan taught the first 4 revolutions of the 9 revolutions river wheel to Xueqing. As soon as he opened the furnace, guided the earth fire and threw the herbs into the furnace, Xueqing was shocked to find that there were 5 round shadows condensed between Ningfan's fingers. Ningfan was very familiar with controlling the earth fire and concocting a 4th revolution pill with ease. Moss Master, you have broken through to the 5th revolution pill master. Xueqing was shocked. Although 4th revolution pill masters were rare, there were tens of thousands of them in the 800 cultivation countries of Rain Immortal World. They were only rare and precious in a desolate place like you country. However, there were only slightly more than 100 5th revolution pill masters in the entire Rain Immortal World. Each of them was treated as a distinguished guest by the Rain Palace, and even received an audience from the Divine Emperor of the Rain Immortal World. This white-robed youth who was smiling calmly in front of him had become a 5th revolution pill master before the age of 20. A 5th revolution pill master who was less than 20 years old. If this matter was spread out, it would certainly cause a sensation in the entire pill concoction world of Rain Immortal World. It wouldn't be a problem for Ningfan to break through to the 6th revolution pill master in this lifetime. His future in the Tao of Alchemy was unpredictable. Don't make a fuss about nothing. Quickly observe my 9 revolutions pill master. You will also have the chance to reach the 5th revolution realm in the future. Ningfan shook his head. Xueqing's persistence in the Tao of Alchemy had destined him to have a long-term development under Ningfan's guidance. But before that, Xueqing must change his startled personality and become more courageous. Chapter 126. Corpse Life Pill, a 3rd revolution pill. Its effect was to increase the lifespan of a refined corpse. Originally, it was quite difficult to concoct a 3rd revolution pill. However, after his pill refinement technique had broken through to the 5th revolution, he did not even feel the slightest tiredness other than exhausting his magic power. It was as easy as refining a 2nd revolution Dan when he was at the 4th revolution. Moreover, the quality of the corpse life Dan that he refined was quite high. There were even a few mysterious runes on it. Divine Rain Will. He adjusted his breathing for a moment, before continuing to refine the nascent formation pill and the nascent strengthening pill. Beside him, Xueqing's eyes burned with desire. The ease with which Ningfan concocted a 3rd revolution Dan had made him even more convinced that Ningfan was indeed a 5th revolution Dan master. Next, when he observed the concoction of the 4th revolution pill, his eyes widened even more as he was afraid that he would miss out on any detail. His eyes were like the bulging eyes of a kind of rain frog in the rain world. Nascent formation pill was a 4th revolution pill. It would take him at least half a month to concoct it. The nascent fortifying pill was a 4th revolution pill. Its grade was slightly lower than the nascent formation pill. Originally, it would take at least 10 days to concoct. However, in just half a month, Ningfan had already concocted both types of pills. His breakthrough in alchemy allowed his efficiency in refining pills to be even faster. The devouring of the black demon flame merged with the earth fire, causing the power of the fire to skyrocket, greatly increasing the efficiency of refining medicine. Under the influence of the divine will of rain, the 2 pills were branded with the divine will of rain and emitted a dense moist feeling. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes were filled with the intent of rain. He opened the lid of the Dan fragmentation cauldron and took out the last nascent formation pill. Under the protection of the modified nascent soul realm grand formation, the 4th revolution pill did not emit any pill aura at all. Thus, it did not attract any unusual phenomenon or heavenly tribulation. The pill was formed. As for refining a 4th revolution pill, the exhaustion in his mind was almost negligible. The divine will of rain, black demon flame, river wheel 5 revolutions. Almost all of Ning Fan's gains from the trip to the Dark Sparrow's grave had improved his concoction technique. After sealing the 3 pill bottles, Ning Fan kept the pill cauldron and pushed the door open. Behind him, Xueqing's eyes seemed to be in a daze. He was completely immersed in Ning Fan's magnificent pill refinement techniques. Alchemy. Alchemy. Xueqing only had the Tao of alchemy in his heart, and he realized that acknowledging Ning Fan as his master was definitely the wisest decision in his life. If it was any other 5th revolution pill master, he would never accept Xueqing as his disciple and impart his concoction techniques to him. As for Ning Fan, he was willing to let Xueqing observe from the side. Many 4th revolution pill masters didn't have such magnanimity. Thank you, master, for teaching me pill refinement techniques. Xueqing suddenly regained his senses and bowed deeply to Ning Fan. To this, Ning Fan's smile remained unchanged. His mind, however, was as calm as an ancient well. The state of Yu was a low-ranked cultivation country. His 4th revolution pill concoction technique was already enough to drive the old monsters of Yu country crazy. As for 5th revolution pill concoction technique, even if he went to a mid-cultivation country, those nascent soul realm cultivators would still be very polite to him. Even if he went to a high-rank cultivation country, those hidden soul formation cultivators would treat him as an equal. However, all of this was on the premise that his strength wouldn't be too much weaker than the other party. Otherwise, no matter how high his concoction technique was, it would only arouse the greed of the other party. Then the other party would capture him and put him under house arrest, making him their exclusive concoction master. This was the law of survival in the cultivation world. Yu country could no longer accommodate his wings. The spiritual qi in Yu country was sparse. It was hard to find 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs to concoct 5th revolution pills. Yu country didn't have the Lost World Palace, so he couldn't shorten his cultivation time. Yu country lacked crisis and experience. There were only a few old ancestor figures in Yu country who could make his hair stand on end. If I stay in Yu country peacefully, I won't have the strength to rival Moksha Emperor after 100 years. After Ning City is done, I will leave Yu country and head to the Endless Sea to form my core. In Ning Fan's eyes, a trace of heaven-defying intent was taking shape, just like the disdainful gaze of Kei Shensi when he looked at the rain in the past. With this trace of temperament, Ning Fan walked out of the high-grade concoction room and handed the 3 pill bottles to Lady Yin Hua. At this moment, Ning Fan's gaze was so sharp that Lady Yin Hua didn't dare to look at his eyes even with her harmonious spirit cultivation base. Fortunately, they were in a secret chamber. Old ancestor Jing Zhua, who possessed Lady Yin Hua, flew out and took the pill bottles. Under Ning Fan's gaze, old ancestor Jing Zhua's heart trembled. He seemed to have seen scenes of heaven-defying rain in Ning Fan's eyes. What kind of technique is this? I'm afraid that even nascent soul-old monsters don't have such a technique. He gently avoided Ning Fan's gaze and swept through the pill bottles with his spirit sense. Immediately, his face was filled with joy. He didn't know how to concoct these 3 pills, but he had heard of them and had the eyesight to distinguish them. The quality of the 3 pills in the pill bottles was much higher than what he expected. Revered Ning's pills are of great use to me. I can't thank you enough. He cupped his fists at Ning Fan gratefully. Ning Fan had given him the hope of revenge and the hope of prolonging his wife's life. You're too polite. In that case, Fellow Taoist Jingjue should return to the sect as soon as possible to prepare. 3 months will be up soon. Don't worry. On the day when Ning City is attacked, my Fire Cloud sect will certainly send out all the forces of the sect to help. After a long talk, Jingjue returned to Yunhua and left. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was walking in silence in Sinister Sparrow sect. It took him a long time to calm down the trace of heaven-defying intent. He had comprehended this trace of defying intent from the rain in the 8th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, but it belonged to Kei Shensi and not Ning Fan. Was this defying intent enough to form the core? After all, if he didn't sever his emotions, he would have to have the defying intent to slay the heavens, the heavenly Tao and the Tao heart. To escape, to resist, or to submit, he had to make a decision. As for the destruction of Extreme Een Gate, it would be better to tell the 2 women first. He returned to the Dual Cultivation Palace and entered the secret chamber. He shook the cauldron ring and summoned Bingling and Yuling. This time the timing was better. The 2 women didn't hug each other and seemed to be just having a casual chat, but their faces were blushing. As soon as they saw Ning Fan leaving the cauldron ring, they rose to their feet with bright eyes and saluted. Slave greets master. Slave. This was the first time the 2 arrogant women considered themselves as slaves and spoke in such a humble manner in front of Ning Fan. Ever since Ning Fan saw through their flirtatious acts, they had become more affectionate towards Ning Fan. They were no longer unwilling to become his cauldrons. So what if they could stay by Ning Fan's side as a slave and a cauldron for the rest of their lives? This place had the safety and warmth of a home. Come out for a breath of fresh air. Don't go back this time, Ning Fan said with a smile. We won't return to the cauldron ring. Master, don't you want us anymore? Yuling yelled out with a nervous face. Bingling also pursed her lips slightly, feeling extremely unsettled. Ning Fan was slightly startled when he saw this scene. He did have some plans for calling the 2 women over. Both of them were early gold core experts. To Ning Fan, unless he plucked them clean, dual cultivation alone wouldn't have much effect on increasing the success rate of core formation. But plucking the cultivation base of the 2 women, it was hard for him to harden his heart after going through all kinds of interactions. Gold core cauldrons. Ning Fan could have as many as he wanted on his way to the Endless Sea. Moreover, given the strength of his black incarnation and the strangeness of yin-yang transformation, it wasn't impossible for him to capture a nascent soul cauldron. Or he could spend a huge sum of money to purchase a nascent soul cauldron from the Godly Void Pavilion of other countries to pluck them. Those women were born orphans and were cultivated to be cauldrons for sale. Although plucking wasn't an honorable thing, it wasn't to the extent of being shameful. Ning Fan might not reject it if he could spend a night with the sisters. But if he plucked the 2 women and let them suffer a great loss of cultivation base, to vein opening like the 15 real cauldrons in the cauldron ring, Ning Fan would never do such a thing to the 2 women. What if I let you go? Ning Fan stopped smiling and sighed slightly. Master, are you really going to let us go? Yuling lowered her head, feeling a little disappointed. Master, don't forget that old ancestor Purple Een of Extreme Een Gate is still looking for us, so it's better for us to stay here for the time being. Bingling gritted her teeth and said, There's one thing I won't hide from you. 3 months later, I will have a battle with Purple Een. If you leave now, Purple Een won't do anything to you. But 3 months later, Extreme Een Gate will be destroyed. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent, but it wasn't because of the 2 women. However, the 2 women's hearts were still trembling, not only because of the killing intent, but also because of Ning Fan's words. That day when they were captured by Ning Fan as a cauldron, the 2 women's hearts had already turned to ashes. They didn't expect to be able to escape. Now that they had a chance to escape, it was a great thing, but the 2 women were hesitant and even reluctant. Ever since they entered the Extreme Een Gate, they had been nurtured into Gold Core Realm human cauldrons for hundreds of years. They had never been truly happy before. However, after being captured by Ning Fan, the scenes that happened in the Demon Sinister Forest made them taste the joy of living for the first time. That joy might just be catching fish and eating with Ning Fan. Or it might just be Ning Fan's anger when Bingling was severely injured. The 2 women sighed. Was there still a man in this world who would kill them out of anger just because they were injured? There wouldn't be. After losing the two women, Purple Een was angry because he had lost his cauldron. Compared to others, Ning Fan had a trace of warmth in his heart. Master, do you really want to annihilate Extreme Een Gate? Us two sisters don't want to leave. Bing Ling and Yu Ling exchanged a glance, lowered their heads and said in a low voice. Don't want to leave? Don't tell me you two want to be plucked by me? Ning Fan was startled for a moment, then revealed a teasing smile. If it's beneficial to Master, Master can pluck us. Anyway, this cultivation base is just a burden to us two sisters. The two women's sincere expression contained a trace of young girls' feelings. This made Ning Fan stop teasing them and let out a slight sigh. The two women didn't know that the better they treated Ning Fan, the harder it was for Ning Fan to be heartless and do something immoral. Forget it. If you two have nowhere to go, just stay by my side for the time being. Do you have any relatives or friends in Extreme Een Gate? 3 months later, I will make Extreme Een Gate barren. Ning Fan turned his head away. In Extreme Een Gate, apart from the 15 sisters that you have plucked, there are no other acquaintances. Old Ancestor Purple Een doesn't allow us to contact anyone. Yu Ling curled her lips. She still remembered that Ning Fan plucked her 15 harmonious spirit subordinates. But after curling their lips, the two women felt a trace of warmth in their hearts. Ning Fan wanted to annihilate Extreme Een Gate, but he came to ask about their relatives. Perhaps he didn't want to accidentally kill their relatives and friends when he annihilated Extreme Een Gate. This trace of concern made the two women happy. Ning Fan rubbed his head, thinking about how to deal with the two women. Originally, he wanted to let them go, but now that they refused to leave, he decided to temporarily put them back into the cauldron ring. You two return to the cauldron ring first. No, we want to help you deal with old ancestor Purple Een. Bing Ling's eyes were filled with a trace of worry. She knew very well how powerful old ancestor Purple Een was. All right, I will let you two out after I return to Ning Fan. After a brief conversation with the two women, Ning Fan took them back and left the secret chamber of Dual Cultivation Palace. This time, he kept the two women and the 15 cauldrons in the same space, so that these women could have a good meeting with each other. But as soon as he walked out of the secret chamber, his sleeve was immediately grabbed by Lan Mei, who had been waiting respectfully outside the secret chamber. Women's body fragrance. You are hiding women in the secret chamber? Lan Mei secretly released her spirit sense to look around the empty secret chamber, but found nothing. I have a lot of women. Do you want to be one of them, little Lan? Ning Fan teased. Who allowed you to call me little Lan? Don't call me that. I am here to tell you that father has something to discuss with you. He only said that it will be a matter of life and death in 3 months. A glimmer of hope rose in Lan Mei's heart. She guessed that the meeting between her father and Ning Fan would most likely be about marriage. A matter of life and death. The moment she thought of these words, her heart was filled with sweetness, anticipation and nervousness. Marriage. She had to become Ning Fan's wife as soon as possible. She couldn't let Ning Fan fool around anymore. And if there was a chance, she would let Ning Fan cultivate other evil arts. However, Ning Fan's eyes froze when he heard that Sinister Sparrow was looking for him. 3 months. What did Sinister Sparrow know? Sure enough, Sinister Sparrow Sect also had a spy in Extreme Een Gate. Sinister Sparrow Sect might be talking and laughing on the surface, but he was actually very shrewd. Since Sinister Sparrow Sect and Fire Cloud Sect had spies in Extreme Een Gate, then Extreme Een Gate might also have spies in Sinister Sparrow Sect, observing his every move. Almost immediately, Ning Fan understood 2 things. Firstly, Sinister Sparrow must be talking about something related to Extreme Een Gate. Secondly, it was best not to let the 2 girls show up in Sinister Sparrow Sect, in case Extreme Een Gate found out about it, and caused some unforeseen events. Oh yes, Jihe and Cece were also called by father. Lan Mei was puzzled. Why would father ask Jihe and Cece to be present when discussing about her and Ning Fan's marriage? Could it be that father wanted Ning Fan to drive the 2 girls away, so that she could monopolize Ning Fan? This, although she minded the existence of the 2 girls, with her understanding of Ning Fan, It was impossible for Ning Fan to drive his wife away perhaps. Ning Fan would give up on marrying her because of Jihe. What should she do? What should she do? Would father quarrel with Ning Fan or even fight with him? Lan Mei's worry seemed to have deviated a little. Jihe and Cici are both here. Let's go and see my father-in-law, and see what he wants to tell me. Ning Fan smiled faintly and left Dual Cultivation Palace, heading towards Long Inclination Palace. He vaguely guessed that Sinister Sparrow was hesitating whether he should help Ning Cheng resist Extreme Een Gate after knowing the conspiracy of Extreme Een Gate. Chapter 127. Sinister Sparrow stood in the hall with his hands clasped behind his back. His Highness was making a paper crane and Wuxia. Jihe held the purple clay teacup in her small hands, tasting the top-grade spirit tea. She acted like she was at home, without any sense of nervousness. On the contrary, Wuxia's gaze was cold. Within that coldness, there was less of her usual innocence, and more of a trace of confusion. Ning Fan, is he the enemy or the master? Who am I? Her memory was awakening, but no one knew about it. At this crucial moment, Ning Fan and Lan Mei entered the Long Inclination Hall. Ning Fan greets Sect Master. He revered Ning, you don't have to be so polite. Sinister Sparrow looked at Ning Fan deeply, but he didn't address him as Fan Air. As for Ning Fan, his smile vanished and his expression turned serious. Calling him, revered Ning, was enough. Let's discuss business. Dad, why are you being so polite to Ning Fan? Lan Mei pouted, but was interrupted by Sinister Sparrow with a bitter smile and a wave of his hand. Mayor, sit at the side for a while. I have something to ask revered Ning. Revered Ning, follow me to the secret chamber. In the secret chamber of Long Inclination Palace, Sinister Sparrow stared at Ning Fan for a long time with a serious look. Sect Master has something to say, but please say it out loud. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If I can answer them, Ning Fan will answer truthfully. Ning Fan cupped his fists. He could tell that Gui Qiaozi had something to say in his heart. All right. In that case, I have something to ask you. Do you have any ulterior motive for coming to Sinister Sparrow Sect? Yes, the purpose is to obtain the Dark Yin Qi and fulfill Master's request. Ning Fan's answer made Sinister Sparrow nod with a satisfied smile, and put away his serious expression. Very good. You're very honest. You didn't lie to me. The profound Yin Qi is in Dark Sparrow's grave. If you're fated, you can go and get it. As for what you want it for, I won't ask. The second question, are you Black Devil Ning? Yes. Ning Fan also has a question. May I ask Sect Master, did you buy my information from the Divine Fortune Teller of Wu Country? Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. Sure enough, you're Black Devil Ning. Don't worry. You're the disciple of Old Han. I won't do anything to you and it's impossible for me to pay such a huge price to plot against you. The reason why I know your identity is because... Is it because of the spy in Extreme Een Gate? He not bad. That's right, it's true. When he asked the second question, Sinister Sparrow seemed to have gotten a satisfactory answer. His eyes were slightly shocked. Ning Fan was indeed the famous Fourth Revolution Dan Master in Yu Country. Withdrawing his astonished expression, Gui Qiaozi sighed and asked. So my third question should have an answer. The destruction of Heaven Separation Sect was done by you and Old Man Han, right? You two sure have guts. That's right. How did Sect Master know about this? Silly boy, isn't the sovereign of Heaven Separation Sect, Wuxia, sitting outside? I once fought with Wuxia and was defeated. I can't forget her aura. Wuxia has also become your woman. Her condition seems a little strange. It's a long story. Then let's not talk about it. I don't want to ask more about your secret. Evil cultivators should have their own secrets. Transforming into Black Devil Ning. Annihilating Heaven Separation Sect. Capturing Wuxia. Beheading Wang Yao. Ning Fan, I don't care where you come from or what your purpose is in Sinister Sparrow Sect. I only have one request, don't let Mayor down. Sinister Sparrow's eyes turned unprecedentedly serious. He could tolerate Ning Fan hiding anything, but if Ning Fan let Lan Mei down, he would be angry as her father. As for Ning Fan, he was secretly surprised after listening to Sinister Sparrow's detailed account of his achievements. Annihilating Heaven's Separation Sect. No one in Yu Country or Rain Immortal World knew about it, but Sinister Sparrow knew about it. As for killing Wang Yao, Ning Fan had sealed the mouths of Hu Clan's cultivators, but Sinister Sparrow still knew about it. If he didn't search the Hu Clan's cultivators' memories, then Sinister Sparrow was also present that night. Sinister Sparrow knew all of this, but Ning Fan wasn't too worried. Firstly, Sinister Sparrow was Old Monster's best friend, Lan Mei's father and Ning Fan's father-in-law. Secondly, given Ning Fan's strength, even if these things were to be leaked, it wouldn't put his life in danger. In response to Sinister Sparrow's half-warning and half-reminder, Ning Fan solemnly replied, "I won't let little Lan down, but now, I can't marry her. I'm preparing to return to Ning City. I think Sect Master already knows the reason. 3 months later, there will be a battle in Ning City. I will annihilate Extreme Yin Gate. After this battle, I will leave Yu Country. Perhaps, I won't be able to return for a very, very long time. Extreme Yin Gate Humph. If you don't let Mei Er down, I will help you in this battle. No matter what, you are revered Ning of my Sinister Sparrow sect. If Extreme Yin Gate dares to touch you, they must first get my permission." As soon as these words came out, killing intent flashed in Sinister Sparrow's eyes. His chi swept across the room like a gale, surging in the secret room. "I will help you publicly because you are a disciple of my Sinister Sparrow sect. Privately, you are the disciple of my old friend, my son-in-law. It's just that, what are your chances of winning this battle? After the battle, regardless of victory or defeat, I will protect you. You don't have to leave Yu Country. Sect Master has misunderstood. If I have Sect Master's help, I won't lose this battle. And I'm not being forced to leave Yu Country by Extreme Yin Gate. My master and I have an irreconcilable enemy who is very strong. 100 years later, I will definitely have a battle with this person. If I stay in Yu Country, my cultivation base will rise too slowly. My time is too little." Ning Fan's heart warmed. Sinister Sparrow was already very kind to him. He was willing to fight against Extreme Yin Gate for him. Even if he couldn't defeat Purple Yin Gate, he was still willing to protect him. If there was a choice, Ning Fan would rather not seek immortality. He would rather stay in Yu Country, Sinister Sparrow Sect or 7 Apricot City, and live a plain life as an ordinary devil cultivator. But life didn't give him a choice and he couldn't stop his footsteps. Gui Qiaozi heaved a long sigh after hearing Ning Fan's difficulties. Gui Qiaozi had some understanding of the old monster. When he first met the old monster, he knew that the old monster had a tyrannical enemy and had a great background. But he still accepted the old monster without hesitation, and barely suppressed the absolute Yin poison. If that enemy would come again after 100 years, then it would be unwise for Ning Fan to stay in Yu Country. Given Ning Fan's aptitude, cultivating in a low-grade cultivation country, like Yu Country was purely a waste of time. He should go to a mid-grade cultivation country, or even a high-grade cultivation country to gain more experience. "Forget it, little Fan. If you leave Yu Country, my sect will take care of Ning City and 7 Apricot City. Let's not talk about this for now. Let's talk about the battle 3 months later. You mustn't underestimate your enemy. I heard that Extreme Yin Gate has invited Heavenly Dao Sect of Wu Country for help. The sect master of Heavenly Dao Sect is a half-step nascent soul cultivator. I also heard that there is a corpse of a nascent soul old monster in the sect, seemingly turned into a refined corpse. Extreme Yin Gate has the help of Heavenly Dao Sect, but my Ning City also has the help of Sinister Sparrow Sect and Fire Cloud Sect. I've met old ancestor Jingzhua of Fire Cloud Sect before. Like this. Ning Fan simplified the secret discussion he had with Jingzhua to Sinister Sparrow Sect. After hearing it, Sinister Sparrow Sect couldn't help but feel shocked. Unbeknownst to him, Ning Fan had already contacted Fire Cloud Sect to deal with Extreme Yin Gate together. He heard that old ancestor Fire Cloud was hot-tempered and unreasonable, but he was persuaded by Ning Fan to help him. Like this, when the time comes, Sect Master will bring the Eagle Guards to this place. The secret discussion between Ning Fan and Sinister Sparrow gradually became inaudible. As for Sinister Sparrow Sect, he gradually revealed a surprised look towards Ning Fan's plan. Ning Fan had never thought of reconciling with Extreme Yin Gate and Heavenly Dao sect. He wanted all the invading cultivators to never return. The white-robed Ning Fan wore a smile on his face, but his smile seemed to contain a high degree of confidence in determining the destruction of Extreme Yin Gate. Once this brat has the intention to kill, his means are truly ruthless. Sinister Sparrow sect took a deep breath. After the secret discussion, Ning Fan and Sinister Sparrow sect left the secret chamber together. To Lan Mei's disappointment, the two of them didn't mention anything about marriage even after the discussion. There was another unexpected matter. Ning Fan wanted to leave Sinister Sparrow sect, and he asked for a leave of 100 years. In the history of Sinister Sparrow sect, only venerated Weeping Ling Giku had requested for such a long leave. And now, Ning Fan was also going to leave. Can you not leave? Lan Mei's eyes were filled with hidden bitterness. I will be back. Ning Fan only gave her this answer. He had entrusted the dual cultivation palace to Bai Lu, but she didn't seem to be happy about it. She only agreed with dissatisfaction. Humph. As an elder of the dual cultivation palace, how could you leave for such a long time? I will take good care of the dual cultivation palace while you are away from the sect. He left a jade slip for Xueqing, which contained the experience of a third revolution pill master breaking through to the fourth revolution. This item was like a priceless treasure to Xueqing. If Xueqing broke through to the fourth revolution pill master, Sinister Sparrow sect would have an inexhaustible supply of high-grade pills. He left Lan Mei a cultivation method, Ice Stone Secret Art. It was a void-grade cultivation method created by an ancient female cultivator, and some pills. Although Lan Mei didn't lack pills, she still left them on the table. After a moment of contemplation, he decided to leave some dual cultivation methods to Bai Lu and the dual cultivation palace. He only left some pills for Bai Lu, but she didn't accept them, so he left them on the table and left. After settling the matters in Sinister Sparrow sect, Ning Fan brought Nan Wei, Ji He and Si Wuxia back to Ning City. Sinister Sparrow sect was a good place that left him with many beautiful memories, but he couldn't stay here any longer. Ning Fan rode a high-grade 3 marks immortal cloud, and left with a trace of melancholy. But as soon as he left Sinister Sparrow sect, Nan Wei, the son of Nangong, immediately reminded him with lingering fear. Young master, you must be careful on the way ahead. There are many powerful bandits in this place. If it wasn't for young master planting a divine ability in your storage pouch, Nan Wei would have died in the hands of those bandits. Bandits? Within 300 li of Sinister Sparrow sect, there are bandits running amok. In Yu country, this was a helpless matter. The spiritual qi outside of Sinister Sparrow sect was very dense and the mountains and rivers were hidden, making it a suitable place for cultivation, robbing, killing, hiding and escaping. The bandits gathered here out of helplessness. However, these bandits are getting bolder and bolder recently. How dare they attack the disciples of Sinister Sparrow sect and my people? Cold light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. His spirit sense spread out, covering an area of 500 li. Within this area, he could easily see where the bandits were and who wanted to ambush him. There are really people who don't know the meaning of death. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. 100 li away, in a secluded valley, he found many bandits secretly approaching him, and there seemed to be many small tails following behind him. Forget it. Before I leave Sinister Sparrow sect, I'll do a good deed and clean up the bandits for Sinister Sparrow sect. A few bandits set up a spirit-falling formation on the peak of a mountain to ambush Ning Fan's and the others. They found out that the fat sheep, who passed by this place last time, had come again. Although Nan Wei had killed Shen Shangzi with the sword sense in his storage pouch and shocked the bandits, he was also regarded as a fat sheep by the bandits. The bandits were very afraid of Nan Wei's strange means of killing people for no reason. However, if they set up a formation or trap beforehand, they believed that they could still capture this fat sheep. On this trip, Nan Wei was accompanied by a skinny young man and 2 delicate beauties. The youth had been smiling all the time. He didn't seem to have any cultivation base, so there was nothing to worry about. But the 2 beauties seemed to have high cultivation base. No, it wasn't just high cultivation base. The 2 beauties' appearance could be considered as outstanding beauties. If they could capture these two beauties and sell them as human cauldrons, it would be a great fortune for them to be his concubines. This time, I can't let that fat sheep get away. Each of the bandits had the same thought. They didn't know that the god of death was approaching. The few bandit cultivators who were waiting to ambush Nan Wei and hiding their killing intent beside the falling spell formation suddenly looked puzzled. When the immortal cloud of Nan Wei and the others passed by the mountain peak, although it was shaken by the falling formation, it didn't fall down. After a flash of light, the immortal cloud had already traveled 100 meters away. It was a 3 marks immortal cloud. Even the spirit falling formation couldn't work. The few bandits were secretly astonished. They were astonished that Nan Wei was so generous. He was indeed a fat sheep to be able to get his hands on a 3-marked immortal cloud. Ignoring the formation, they rose to the sky and chased after the immortal cloud. But just as they flew up, the white-robed youth who was smiling in front of Nan Wei suddenly stopped smiling, and his eyes were filled with cold light. Nan Wei continued to move forward on the cloud. Slow down. I want to see how many bandits dare to follow me and plot against me. Yes. Nan Wei received the order and immediately took over the immortal cloud. Nan Wei's speed was neither fast nor slow. The bandits could keep up, but they couldn't catch up. The bandits who were lying in ambush cast all kinds of divine abilities, but none of them could shake off the immortal cloud. There was even a gold core old monster who secretly released a high-grade magical treasure to attack the immortal cloud. But when the magical treasure got close to the immortal cloud, it vanished into thin air. Humph! I didn't expect to go for wool and come home shorn, chase after him. No matter what, this old man will catch up to this fat sheep, kill him and take back the magical treasure. One by one, the bandits joined the pursuit team, dragging a long distance in the night sky. The scene of dozens of traveling lights chasing after an immortal cloud had shocked many cultivators along the way. When the immortal cloud was 100 miles away from Ning City, it suddenly stopped. At this moment, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He waved his palm, and the huge white bone sword was held horizontally in his hand. Then he displayed the 6 meters body technique. Humans die for wealth and birds die for food. All of you can die now. At this moment, a trace of rain divine intent flickered in the young man's eyes. Almost at the same time, the dozens of cultivators who were chasing after him were infected and assimilated by the strange divine intent. Their magical force became sluggish and melted like the continuous autumn rain. At this moment, the white-robed young man patted his storage pouch. 5 different colored peak high-grade flying swords flew out. In just an instant, a gold core cultivator and 4 peak harmonious spirit cultivators died under the flying swords. The remaining ones were only slightly more than 30 harmonious spirit cultivators, and the strongest one was only a late harmonious spirit cultivator. Mere bandits, how dare you intercept me? Courting death. With the young man's half-step gold core magical force, he could already exert 1/10 of the power of the 5 elements flying swords. 5 peak high-grade flying swords. Even a late gold core cultivator wouldn't be able to withstand it, let alone an ordinary harmonious spirit cultivator. The divine intent of rain locked the magical power of the bandits, making it so that no harmonious spirit bandits could escape in an instant. While the bandits were still in shock, the 5 sword lights of the 5 elements flying swords took away the lives of 5 more bandits. They couldn't escape or resist the terrifying flying swords. Each and every one of them was horrified and regretful. They regretted provoking a fat sheep and provoking a fiend. Gradually, some of them vaguely recognized the young man's identity from his facial features, and became even more terrified. This man isn't someone else. He's the cultivator who defeated revered by of sinister sparrow sect, Revered Ning. After hearing the name, Revered Ning, each of the bandits finally realized what kind of ruthless person they were chasing tonight. They wanted to escape, but they couldn't. Their hearts were filled with bitterness. All they could do was to take out their magical treasures, trying to resist the 5 dazzling 5-colored flying swords. However, the best magical treasure of these harmonious spirit cultivators was only a middle-grade magical treasure. As soon as it collided with the 5 elements flying swords, It immediately shattered into pieces. Under the young man's control, the flying swords would take away the lives of 5 bandits in every breath. Finally, some of the bandits broke free from the divine intent of rain and began to flee. However, the sword light of the 5 elements flying swords was too fast. It was almost comparable to the speed of a nascent soul cultivator. Who could escape from the sword light? In just a short span of 10 breaths, dozens of bandits died with hatred in their hearts. The young man kept the 5 elements flying swords. His eyes were as calm as an ancient well. Returned to Ning City. Killing dozens of harmonious spirit experts seemed to be an insignificant matter to him. Tonight was a nightmare for the bandits in the area. Chapter 128. When Ningfan first built the city, it was just rows of wooden houses. But now there were jade buildings and houses. Cultivators came to Ningfan in an endless stream within 100 miles radius. Ningfan descended from the immortal cloud to witness the great changes in Ning City. He sighed in amazement. The 100 miles city wall was made of jade and gold. It was 19 zhang high, enough to defend against a full blow from a harmonious spirit cultivator. Above the city wall, there was a forbidden space formation to prevent enemy cultivators from attacking Ning City from above. Outside Ning City, groups of evil cultivators patrolled. Their chi wasn't weak, all of them were at least 7th level vein opening. Some wore black armor embroidered with 7 apricot flowers, some wore silver armor embroidered with 7 swords, and some wore ice armor embroidered with 7 snow. These 3 types of evil cultivators belonged to the apricot guards, sword guards and ice guards of the 3 black demon armies. Apart from the 3 black demon armies, there was another type of evil cultivator patrolling the city. This type of evil cultivator wore red armor embroidered with a big Ning character. These evil cultivators looked vaguely familiar. Most of them were the Southern House battle guards that Ningfan had subdued before. The rest were evil cultivators that came to seek shelter. Under the great reputation of Black Devil Ning, evil cultivators came to Ning City in an endless stream. After the expansion of the Southern House battle guards, there were 600 of them. Their strength wasn't any weaker than the 3 black demon armies. The 4 armies of Ning City had a great reputation in Yu country. For more than half a year, Nangong had led the 3 black demon armies to besiege bandits from all directions. Not only did it hone their combat skills, but it also greatly stabilized Ning City. This was also the reason why Ningfan only attracted dozens of bandits after a night of slow travel. Heaven's Secret Nangong and Mad Guest Yuchi. These 2 were extremely famous in Yu country. The latter had advanced by leaps and bounds to late harmonious spirit realm, through dual cultivation with the pig. His little pig had also reached intermediate harmonious spirit realm. 1 man and 1 demon could even fight a half-step gold core cultivator if they worked together. As for Nangong, his lightning veins were restored with the help of the pills Ningfan gave him. He became a dual spirit cultivator that cultivated both ice and lightning. His strength was restored to intermediate gold core realm. He could even fight a late gold core old monster to a draw. Even the old monsters of the first-rate sex were fearful of him. The only one whose reputation disappeared was the commander of the sword guards, Situ. After receiving the broken sword from Ningfan, he left Ning City. He seemed to be traveling around, but his whereabouts were unknown. Brother Fan, look, Ning City has changed so much because of your pills. Jihe's pure smile was tinged with pride. She was proud of her brother Fan's extraordinary abilities. Pills are one of the reasons. Nangong's wisdom and strategy are the most important. He has also recovered his cultivation base. All that's left is Situ. However, I have a feeling that Situ's return won't be far away. Let's go home. Ning City was Ningfan's home in Yu country. The rows of patrolling evil cultivators immediately revealed a vigilant look when they saw Ningfan's group coming. But when they saw Nanwei and Jihe, they all let down their guard. The eyes of all the evil cultivators fell upon Ningfan, and they sucked in a breath of cold air. Their young master had returned. The 3 divine armies only knew of Black Devil Ning of Ning City, but he had never appeared before. But their young lord Ningfan's was real, and his current reputation was even more resounding than the old monster. Revered Ning of Sinister Sparrow Sect. the man who defeated an intermediate gold core cultivator at his young age. Welcome back to Ning City, young master. Each of the evil cultivators clasped their fists and greeted with a loud and clear voice. These greetings made the cultivators who stayed in Ning City reveal a look of surprise. What? Revered Ning is back. That's great. I didn't expect to see Revered Ning instead of Master Black Devil. As soon as they returned to the city, Ning Fan immediately summoned Nangong and told him about the decisive battle 3 months later. Nangong was shocked, but there was also a trace of excitement in his shock. Being able to fight against Extreme Een Gate and Heavenly Dao Sect, and according to Young Master's plan, the success rate would be very high. He didn't inform the 3 divine armies about this for the time being, in order to avoid unnecessary gossip. After the secret discussion with Nangong, Ning Fan immediately wrapped himself in a black cloak to cover his face, and used the false thought art to conceal his cultivation base. With his half-step nascent soul spirit sense and the false thought art, he immediately disguised himself as an old half-step nascent soul old monster. This scene greatly aroused Ji He's interest while Si Wuxia's beautiful eyes flashed with confusion. Why does he want to annihilate my sect? She seemed to have remembered something about Heaven's Separation Sect, but it wasn't complete. Then, a sensational news spread across Ning City. Black Devil Ning, who had been in seclusion for a long time after the 100 sects of Ning City came out. He was wearing a black cloak and his face couldn't be seen clearly. Despite walking in Ning City, he exuded a horrifying half-step nascent soul aura that wasn't any weaker than the old ancestor-level figures of Yu country. Some people secretly released their spirit sense to sense the details under Black Devil Ning's cloak, but when they met Black Devil Ning's eyes, their hearts and souls trembled like a rainstorm. This kind of means was simply unheard of in Yu country. Just a glance from him could freeze a cultivator's magical power. This Black Devil Ning was indeed as mysterious and powerful as the rumor said. All those who had their eyes on Ning City secretly withdrew their thoughts. After that, Black Devil Ning summoned the commanders of the 4 armies of Ning City: Nangong, Yuqi, Nanyangzi and Lu Nanzi. With the help of pills, Lu Nanzi was already a half-step gold core cultivator, and wasn't far from core formation realm. As for Nanyangzi, he had successfully broken through to intermediate gold core realm, and became a famous figure in Yu country. Their eyes were burning with passion as they stared at Black Devil Ning. They knew that all of this was thanks to the city lord in front of them. Previously, when they were captured, they were almost in despair. But after discovering that Black Devil Ning was a 4th revolution pill master, they found hope amidst their despair. They looked forward to following Black Devil Ning, knowing that they would have a bright future. Then Black Devil Ning indeed didn't disappoint them. A large amount of pills had greatly improved their cultivation base. They were now convinced that becoming slaves of Black Devil Ning wasn't a sin to them, but an opportunity. It was just that they hadn't seen the city lord for a long time. Now that Black Devil Ning had come out of seclusion, they felt like ants facing the heavens. A half-step nascent soul cultivation base wasn't enough to give them such a feeling. It was as if Black Devil Ning wasn't a human, but a heaven-defying reign that could overturn the heavens and earth. Both of them retracted their gaze in shock, lowered their heads and cupped their fists respectfully. "Greetings, City Lord." Black Devil Ning responded with a hoarse voice. "Recently, Yu country isn't peaceful. The 4 armies of Ning City should intensify their cultivation. All affairs will be temporarily suspended. Later on, I will pass down a new formation." Black Devil Ning's tone was solemn. None of the experts present dared to breathe loudly. Only little Ji He pursed her lips and giggled. "Brother Fan is so methodical. So interesting. Cece, don't you think so?" Ji He asked in a low voice. "I don't know." Si Wuxia's mind was in a mess. More and more memories emerged in her mind, making it hard for her to make a decision. The conversation in the main hall was a little boring to Ji He. Black Devil Ning only made some adjustments to the formation and cultivation of the 4 armies of Ning City. At the same time, he gave some pointers to the cultivation method of the 4 armies. Even Nangong had gained great enlightenment under Black Devil Ning's guidance. After the discussion, Lu Nanzi suddenly revealed a look of hesitation. Eventually, He gritted his teeth and decided to tell Black Devil Ning about this matter to show his loyalty. This subordinate has something to report to the city lord. Speak. It has been half a year since the fire vein of Ning City was unblocked. Currently, there are fire maple fruits growing one after another. They can be sold at a high price, but it requires a special secret technique to accelerate the growth of the fruits. Subordinate is willing to plant these fruits for city lord. Lu Nanzi said respectfully. Fire maple fruit? I've heard of this fruit before. It seems to be expensive, but this doesn't seem to be the right time to plant the fire maple fruit. But let's accelerate the growth of the fruits in the future. Nan Gong, who was at the side, had some doubts. He had heard of the famous fire maple fruit before. Cultivators could consume it to improve their body refining technique, but the effect wasn't obvious. Although the price wasn't cheap, Ning City wasn't short of money. Nangong had some concerns because he had heard from Ning Fan that there would be a great war in less than 3 months. It could be 2 months, or even longer than 3 months. It all depended on the time when the sect master of Heavenly Dao sect would come out of seclusion. But Ning City would be facing a great war soon. It was more important to prepare for the war. Planting the fire maple fruit at this moment seemed to be neglecting the essentials. Nangong's suggestion was extremely pertinent. Upon hearing this, Lu Nanzi's face revealed a look of disappointment. Lu family had once relied on the fire maple fruit to become rich. He felt somewhat regretful that he couldn't accelerate the growth of the fire maple fruit. However, Nangong's authority in Ning City was only lower than Black Devil Ning and Ning Fan. So he didn't dare to refute. However, his words didn't arouse Nangong's interest, but Black Devil Ning, who was at the side, revealed a look of surprise. Fire maple fruit? Can you really accelerate the growth of this fruit? A city lord needs this fruit? If you need it, this season is the best time to accelerate the growth of the fire maple fruit. In 3 days, I will lead the Nanlu guards to cast a secret technique to accelerate the growth of a large number of fire maple fruits. Alright, I'll leave this matter to you. I need the fire maple fruit, the more the better. Black Devil Ning, no Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He had never thought that Ning City would have an unexpected harvest of the fire maple fruit. In the ancient pill scroll that Xueqing gave him, there was a pill called Yellow Turban Pill. Third Revolution Pill, Yellow Turban Pill. This pill was a secret pill used by the Yellow Turban warriors of the ancient heavenly court for body refinement. Even in ancient times, not many people knew about it. The concoction of this pill required several kinds of ancient pill concoction techniques. Even if they had the fire maple fruit, Xueqing and the others wouldn't be able to concoct it. However, Ning Fan knew those pill concoction techniques. Today he even obtained the fire maple fruit by chance. Outside of Ning City was the place where the fire maple fruit grew. This kind of coincidence wasn't God's will, but fate. Ning Fan closed his eyes slightly. Cultivators had fate that was ethereal and invisible. Rumor had it that there were fiend gods in ancient times who could change fate. If one's fate was good, one would encounter treasures everywhere. If one's fate was bad, one would encounter misfortune everywhere. The ones with the best fate were naturally the giants in ancient times. The one with the worst fate was the most famous one in ancient times. His name was Shen Gongbao. What was worth mentioning was the Yellow Turban Pill. The effect of this pill wasn't as good as the Jade Royal Pill, but if he had a large number of fire maple fruits, he could concoct a large number of Yellow Turban Pills to enhance his body refinement realm. His body refinement realm was at the peak of the 6th realm of Silver Light. He only needed to break through 3 more realms to reach the Silver Bone realm. The silver light converged into his bones, turning his bones into silver. His fists could shake a nascent soul. If he could consume a large number of Yellow Turban Pills within these 3 months, he would be able to defeat his enemies with the strength of his body even if he was just a white-clothed incarnation. Ning Fan's fate was considered good so far, although there were many people who had better fate than him. Chapter 129. Behind him, Bing Ling and Yu Ling were arranging the bedding and washing the food, sneaking glances at Ning Fan from time to time. In 7 days, Lu Nanzi had produced a large number of fire maple fruits. These fruits were enough to concoct 300 Yellow Turban Pills. Could Yellow Turban Pill and Jade Royal Pill be eaten together? Ning Fan pondered for a long time before shaking his head. The pain of the immortal execution sword chi suppressed the pain of the Jade Royal Pill, because there were two kinds of pain. The former was the pain of the surface of the body, while the latter was the pain of the internal organs, meridians, and bones. Different kinds of pain could be suppressed. The Yellow Turban Pill was also a pain that tempered the muscles and bones. He was afraid that it wouldn't suppress the pain of the Jade Royal Pill. Instead, it would add to the pain. In order to consume the fourth Jade Royal Pill, he had to endure the same pain from the outside world. For example, the heavenly tribulation of a late nascent soul cultivator. Recollecting his thoughts, he took out the Dan fragmentation cauldron, and his eyes flickered. Begin concoct the pill. A month passed quickly. Outside of Ning City, a large number of flying demonic beasts, eagles, and martens arrived. Every devil cultivator in the 4 guards of Ning City was equipped with a standard magical treasure, a peak low-grade weapon and a peak low-grade spirit shooting crossbow. This crossbow was named Spirit Shooting Crossbow. As the name suggested, even a harmonious spirit old monster's defense could be pierced and killed if they were careless. The spiritual arrows shot by this crossbow were expensive. The cost of one arrow was around 10 immortal jades, and it couldn't be recycled. But Nangong still spent a huge amount of money to equip each guard with 10 arrows. The 4 guards of Ning City had 2,000 devil cultivators. When they shot at the same time, even a gold core old monster would have to retreat. Even the guards of a mid-grade cultivation country couldn't be compared to such a large sum of money. In the second month, a magnificent 5-colored tribulation cloud appeared above the fire cloud sect. However, it immediately disappeared without a trace. In the third month, a man in a black monk robe and full of blood chi returned to Ning City. He was a half-step gold core cultivator, but in his hand were the heads of the 10 great bandits of Yu Country. The 10 great bandits of Yu Country were not only distributed in the sinister Sparrow Mountain Range, but also in East Yu and North Yu. Each of them was a gold core old monster. Situ had killed 10 gold core old monsters. His eyes flickered with a golden glow as a terrifying sword intent surged within his body. Even an intermediate gold core old monster might not be able to withstand this sword chi. This was the path of sword Tao that Situ had comprehended from the broken sword. 3 months passed. The smell of gunpowder pervaded the air in Peace City. Nangong finally dismissed all the guests and ordered the entire city to be under martial law. At the same time, many magnificent ships broke through the Yu Kingdom's seal boundary. The World Lock was a formation set up between different cultivation countries. It was an ancient formation that had existed since the formation of the Rain Immortal World. The level of the array was determined according to the density of the spiritual chi in the cultivation country. The realm-locking array of the low-grade cultivation country, Yu Country, was at the peak of the Dan grade, which was only half a step away from the nascent grade. The realm-locking formation was guarded by the elders of the righteous and demonic sects. Every 1,000 miles, there was an entrance for people to enter the formation. Cultivators from other countries who entered the state of Yu would generally only be recorded and would not be specially obstructed. No one questioned whether this identity was real or fake. No one questioned whether the cultivators from other countries were committing crimes in Yu Country. However, one needed to pay some immortal jades to enter the country. Of course, no one dared to collect the immortal jades if they didn't pay. In the land of East Yu, an intermediate harmonious spirit elder of Purple Light sect was in seclusion inside a 100-zhang tall golden tower. The east of Yu Country was bordered by Wu Country. It had always been frequented by cultivators. Purple Light sect occupied the entrance of the World Lock and sent their elders and disciples to guard it. For countless years, they had collected countless immortal jades. Today, 1 harmonious spirit and 10 vein-opening experts of Purple Light sect were still leisurely guarding the World Lock. Occasionally, a few cultivators from Wu Country would pass through the World Lock formation. They would only collect the money. Sometimes they didn't even bother to ask for their names. There's still 1 more month to complete this year's mission. 100 sect contribution points and 50 immortal jades. This time, I can buy a good gift for 7th junior sister of Cloudy Mist Palace. Senior Brother Zhang, with your talent and appearance, why do you have a soft spot for 7th junior sister? I feel that 4th senior sister of Cloudy Miss Palace is more suitable for you. You don't understand. 7th junior sister's appearance isn't good, but her technique is really fucking. A few disciples of Purple Light sect were chatting idly. From time to time, they would say some dirty words. 10 li away, the harmonious spirit elder in the Golden Tower scanned the area with his spirit sense. He was slightly displeased when he heard the dirty words of the disciples. How could a righteous disciple speak dirty words like an evil cultivator? Although the harmonious spirit elder understood that righteous disciples were also humans with 7 emotions and 6 desires, it was only normal for them to say dirty words. Be more serious. If those cultivators from Wu country see this, it will be a disgrace to our sect. The harmonious spirit elder decided to instigate them. The divine sense sound transmission resounded in everyone's ears from 10 li away. The disciples immediately became submissive and didn't dare to say anything else. They didn't dare to refute, but someone else did. Suddenly, the sound of a ship breaking through the air was heard from outside the light of the World Lock formation. Amidst the sound of the wind, an eccentric voice sneered and ridiculed. Purple Light sect, a second-rate sect of a low-grade cultivation country, what face do you have? This voice carried the terrifying pressure of a half-step nascent soul cultivator. It resounded in the ears of every disciple of Purple Light sect. Immediately, the sea of consciousness of 10 disciples was shattered and they died. 10 miles away, Elder Ziguang, who was inside the Golden Tower, immediately felt a chill down his spine. A streak of light flew out of the Golden Tower and stood on the top of the tower. He looked at the lockdown grand array in the distance with a terrified expression. One by one, the ships broke through the World Lock Grand Formation of Yu Country. The dignified Peak Dan Realm Grand Formation couldn't stop these ships from escaping through the air. There were 6 ships in total. On each ship, there were no less than 1,000 evil cultivators, eyeing them like tigers watching their prey. These evil cultivators were all wearing white clothes and armor. Their cultivation base was at least level 5 vein opening. Among the 6,000 vein opening evil cultivators, there were 44 harmonious spirit cultivators and 9 gold core cultivators. Among the gold core old monsters, the one with the strongest chi was the one who sneered just now. He was the only cultivator who didn't wear white clothes, but a purple robe. On his purple robe, there were patterns of the sun and moon embroidered. Yin and Yang formed a circle. This person was 8 feet tall. His face was pale and bloodless, like a refined corpse. There was a third eye on his forehead. On his back, there was a huge black jade coffin. What was more strange was that among the 8 gold core old monsters, only 4 of them had the chi of a living person. Among the 44 harmonious spirit cultivators, there was no chi of a living person. Moreover, among the 6,000 vein opening disciples, half of them were dead people. The elder of Purple Light sect was frightened by this horrifying lineup. He was stationed at the border of Wu and Yu country. Naturally, he had heard a lot about some big sects in Wu country. The evil cultivators in front of him were very similar to a sect in the legends. Wu country's evil sect, Heavenly Dao sect. What are these evil cultivators doing in Yu country with such a big lineup? Not good. I have to report this to the sect master. The elder of Purple Light sect gritted his teeth and fled with all his might. From the fact that these evil cultivators killed 10 of his disciples, he could tell that these people were vicious. If he was captured by these people, he would certainly not be able to bear the consequences. However, just as he turned around, 7 harmonious spirit evil cultivators flew up from the ship and chased after him. Each of them revealed a fiery expression, looking at the elder of Purple Light sect, as if he was a delicious dish. An intermediate harmonious spirit refined corpse. It belongs to whoever can get it first. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the tallest and burly man among the 7 harmonious spirit evil cultivators carried the corpse of the elder of Purple Light sect back to the ship. Thus, the 6 ships of Heavenly Dao sect invaded Yu country. 5 days later, the ship crossed Yu country from east to west. Its destination was Ning City. However, along the way, Dozens of cultivation families and small sects in Yu country were annihilated by this group of evil cultivators. Dozens of righteous and evil old monsters peeped at the ship from afar. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. Heavenly Dao sect of Wu country is invading my Yu country? The war between Wu and Yu has been halted for thousands of years. Is it going to start again? The sect master of Purple Light sect's face turned extremely ugly. It doesn't seem like it. I snuck into one of the ships and avoided the detection of the sect master of Heavenly Dao sect, Tian Yitzi. I captured a disciple and searched his soul and memory. Heavenly Dao sect's goal seems to be to deal with Ning City and Black Devil Ning. The old ancestor of body-seizing sect crawled out of the desolate grave and revealed a look of dread towards the group of Heavenly Dao sect. Their target is Ning City? That little guy's home. The old ancestor of Great Void sect, Suchio Xianzi's beautiful eyes turned cold. The invasion of Heavenly Dao sect had aroused the attention of all the sects in Yu country. The ones who were panicking were the cultivation families and small sects in the central region of Yu country. Some of them even moved their sects to avoid being annihilated along the way of Heavenly Dao sect. Most of the sects in Yu country needed a nascent soul pill from Black Devil Ning. But now Black Devil Ning seemed to be in trouble. These sects were hesitating whether they should offend Heavenly Dao sect for Ning City. The name of the sect master of Heavenly Dao sect was Tian Yitzi. Wherever he went, not even a blade of grass would grow. Just as these sects were hesitating, the second devil sect intervened. For ships sailed out of Extreme Yin Gate. Their target was Ning City. My Extreme Yin Gate and Heavenly Dao sect intend to wage war against Ning City. I hope fellow Taoists will not stop us. After the war is over, each sect will offer 3 nascent soul pills as tribute. The old ancestor of Extreme Yin Gate, Purple Yin, made such a promise. As long as he captured Ning Fan and imprisoned that 4th revolution pill master, he would be the one to decide how many nascent soul pills he wanted to concoct. Although the huge profit of 3 nascent soul pills wasn't enough to bribe the sects in Yu country, it made those sects waver and began to have the thought of becoming neutral. Extreme Yin Gate and Heavenly Dao sect were the 2 sects that wanted to fight Ning City to death. None of the sects thought that Ning City could resist the 2 great sections. None of the sects were willing to stand up for Ning City and fight the 2 great devil sects alone. If it was just for the nascent soul pills, the sects of Yu country might join forces to deal with Purple Yin. But now Old Devil Purple Yin had announced that each sect would offer 3 nascent soul pills as tribute. For example, Great Void sect had more than 1 half-step gold core old monster. 3 nascent soul pills was a huge temptation. Let's wait and see. Each of the sects gave the order to wait and see. Suchio Xianzi frowned slightly. Cultivation. At the end of cultivation, regardless of whether one is righteous or evil, all of them are selfish. Her eyes showed hesitation. Then she stepped on the air and walked towards Ning City. On the 10th day, 10 ships of Extreme Yin Gate and Heavenly Dao sect surrounded the sky of Ning City. Suchio Xianzi straightened her body and appeared in the sky above Ning City. She looked stern and angry. Purple Yin, no matter what kind of enmity you have with Ning City, colluding with the sects of Wu country to cause trouble in Yu country, isn't that a little too much? Her words made the expressions of the other 2 old ancestors of Great Void sect change drastically. They immediately rushed out of the sect. If the other party mistakenly thought that it was the intention of Great Void sect, wouldn't it mean that they were stirring up trouble for Great Void sect for no reason? Although Great Void sect had a strong foundation and might not lose to the 2 great sects, it was impossible for them to win. However, if they really started a war with the 2 great sects, it was hard to tell who would win, but it was certain that their sect would suffer a great loss. They were afraid that they would have to give up the reputation of being the #1 righteous sect in Yu country. Junior sister Suchio has never been to Ning City and has nothing to do with that Black Devil Ning. Why is she willing to stand up for Ning City? Troublesome, troublesome. That pointless sense of justice of hers is the worst in the cultivation world. Old Ancestor Great Void, Zhong Xianzi and Bei Hongzi were struggling. They hoped that junior sister Suchio wouldn't do something too extreme, otherwise for the future of Great Void sect. In Ning City, inside the stone chamber, A silvery silhouette suddenly opened his eyes, revealing astonishment. She could clearly see what was happening outside with her spirit sense. Suqiu Xianzi? Why is she here? I've never thought that this person would come to the muddy water of my Ning city. Pointless sense of justice. But is it really pointless? His eyes suddenly turned cold because of Suqiu's words. Suqiu had a peak gold core cultivation base in the sky above Ning city. She wasn't afraid of the devil cultivators. She knitted her brows and secretly circulated her profound qi. Her beautiful eyes were filled with awe-inspiring power. Then, a delicate rebuke resounded in the silent sky. The righteous path is the righteous path. If there's no justice to uphold, how can you claim to be righteous? All of you retreat quickly. My 2 senior brothers will be here soon. Suqiu's words made old devil Purple Yin's eyes slightly fearful. Chapter 130. Even in Wu country, a mid-ranked cultivation country, he had heard of the Great Void sect's Great Void Gemini. If Zhong Xianzi and Bei Hongzi really led the Great Void sect to intervene in today's matter, even if they won the battle, they would suffer a great loss. Tian Yizi hesitated. The reason why he agreed to Purple Yin's request was not only because of his friendship with Purple Yin, but also because old devil Purple Yin had promised Tian Yizi a nascent formation pill. For the sake of this pill, he didn't mind exterminating a mere Ning city. But if he were to go against the #1 righteous sect in Yu country, Great Void sect for a pill, the loss would outweigh the gain. It wasn't easy to get a nascent formation pill in Wu country, but there was still a way. Tian Yizi's eyes flickered. Suddenly, a bloodjade compass on his waist vibrated violently. This compass was called the Suspending Corpse Plate. It was a magical treasure used to search for corpses for refinement. Whenever it encountered a high-quality treasure, it would slightly vibrate. But today this bloodjade compass was vibrating so frequently even though it was so close to Ning City. Could it be that there was a high-grade corpse in Ning City? The Suspending Corpse Plate could determine the grade of a corpse when it was alive. The highest grade it could determine was a peak nascent soul corpse. But this time, the needle on the Suspending Corpse Plate was rotating erratically. This clearly indicated that there was a corpse that surpassed the nascent soul realm in Ning City. The corpse of a spirit-severing cultivator. For a split second, Tian Yizi's eyes revealed a ruthless glint. It wasn't worth offending the Great Void sect for the nascent formation pill, but for the corpse of a spirit-severing cultivator. No matter what, he had to break into Ning City and find that corpse. Tian Yizi reckoned that with his physique, if he could obtain the corpse of a spirit-severing cultivator, there would be a glimmer of hope for him to break through to the spirit-severing realm in this life. And once he did, he could even unify Wu country. Under the greed, the so-called Great Void sect would no longer be scary. His thoughts were racing. Just at this moment, when old devil Purple Yin was hesitating on how to face the Great Void sect, Tian Yizi had already leaped out of the ship with a huge coffin on his back. He sneered and rushed towards Suqiu Xianzi. He patted his storage pouch and took out a dark gold brick. This is a matter between our 2 sects and Ning City. Suqiu Xianzi, it's better if you don't intervene. Otherwise, our sect will not show any mercy. On this brick, Tian Yizi had used 90% of his magic power and 10% of his strength. He only wanted to intimidate the Great Void sect, and had no intention of taking Suqiu's life. Severely wounding Suqiu might make the Great Void sect give up on helping Ningqing out of fear. But if Suqiu was killed, the Great Void sect would lose their old ancestor, and would certainly be enraged and fight to the death. As soon as the brick appeared, old devil Purple Yin raised his eyebrows and was slightly surprised. He was surprised that Tian Yizi, who was an outsider, had made a move before he could make a move. As for Suqiu, she frowned slightly. Both of them were old ancestor-level figures, but Suqiu's magical power was much weaker than Tian Yizi's. Moreover, the dark gold brick was a top-grade magical treasure that was only a step away from the supreme grade. Its power was astonishing. However, since Suqiu Immortal was determined to help Ning City, she wouldn't be scared off by a magic treasure. In her point of view, even if she couldn't defeat Tian Yizi, it wouldn't be easy for Tian Yizi to defeat her. She only needed to hold on until her 2 senior brothers arrived. With the 3 of them working together, there was nothing to fear about a mere Tianyitsi. The dark gold brick radiated thousands of black lights in the sky and turned into a 1,000 feet small mountain. With a rumbling sound, it pressed down on the top of Suchio's head. On top of the mountain peak, a layer of earth light was emitted. Immediately, the mountain peak that was formed by the magical treasure grew by another 30%. This is the Earth Spirit divine ability. Old Devil Purple Een revealed a slightly fearful look. The Earth Spirit divine ability was a special divine ability in the Spirit Augmentation divine ability. It could enhance the power of an Earth attribute magical treasure. The specific extent of enhancement depended on the spirit iron of the Spirit Augmentation divine ability. This golden brick was not far from the supreme grade. With the Earth Spirit divine ability, its power was increased by another 30%. Perhaps even an ordinary supreme grade magical treasure wouldn't be as powerful as this brick. Witnessing such power, the elders and disciples of Extreme Een Gate revealed a look of awe. On the other hand, more than half of the disciples of Heavenly Tao sect were not alive. The remaining ones had a strange aura, and were not surprised at all. Suchio retreated hastily when the magical power of the falling mountain peak hit her chest. Her blood and chi were in turmoil. She was secretly shocked by the power of this magical treasure. She had a clearer understanding of Tianyitzi's strength. She was certainly not his opponent. However, she might be able to delay him for a while. Suchio patted her storage pouch and took out pieces of golden immortal talisman. She threw them up high and performed a hand seal. The golden talisman immediately turned into golden light. The golden light split into countless fine golden threads and spread out in all directions, entangling the mountain peak tightly. Then Suchio shook her shoulder, and a pair of purple butterfly wings sprouted out from her shoulder. With a wave of her hand, a crystal bracelet appeared in her palm. With a gust of fragrant wind, it turned into a huge crystal ring. This ring was Suchio Xianzi's natal magical treasure. It was also a weapon, a high-grade magical treasure. Its name was Water-like Ring. With a flap of the purple butterfly wings, a strange spiritual chi rolled Suchio up. Then, her shadow flashed and disappeared without a trace. In an instant, she had crossed thousands of feet, and appeared 100 feet behind Tianyitzi. Then, she took out the water-like ring and struck it down. This divine ability that could cross thousands of feet was obviously something that only a nascent soul cultivator could master. Teleportation. From locking the golden mountain peak to growing the wings on her back, and using her magical treasure to attack Tianyitzi. Everything happened in an instant. Suchio Xianzi's rich adaptability was enough to be seen through. Although Suchio Xianzi was a woman, she was worthy of being the old ancestor of Great Void. Her means were amazing. Tianyitzi was secretly surprised. He knew that he had underestimated Suchio. It seemed that it would be difficult to intimidate this woman with one move. However, Tianyitzi showed no fear in the face of the attack from the water-like ring and only sneered. Profound Jade Teleportation Spiritual Equipment, high-grade magical treasure. You're not bad as a woman. But since you don't want to take the chance to live, don't blame me for being merciless. When the water-like ring was about to hit his back, the lid of the black jade coffin suddenly moved. A slit was opened and a rotten and stinky arm was stretched out from the slit. It was glowing with a strange blood light, and grabbed the water-like ring with its palm. A high-grade magical treasure was easily grabbed by the unknown arm, and crushed into pieces. Suchio, who was 100 feet away, was immediately affected by the destruction of the magical treasure. She spurted out a mouthful of blood and stained her gown. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. A high-grade magical treasure was crushed. What exactly was hidden in the black jade coffin? As Tianyitzi turned around, his vertical eye stared at Suchio, flickering with a desolate blood light. In an instant, Suchio felt an extreme sense of danger. She shook her shoulder and flapped her butterfly wings, immediately teleporting thousands of feet away. Tianyitzi's third vertical eye. What kind of divine ability does it have? If I was one step slower, I would have died. Suchio's heart was beating rapidly. She felt a faint fear towards Tianyitzi. Although Tianyitzi was only a half-step nascent soul cultivator, His means were too unfathomable. Perhaps he could even fight an early nascent soul-old monster. Not only Suchio, even old devil Purple Yin's eyes shrunk in fear. Something is wrong with this Tian Yitzi. 10 years ago, he wasn't as powerful as he is now. Forget it, this person is a friend and not an enemy. No matter what, it's more important to take down Ning City first. If this drags on for too long, the 2 old men of Great Void Sect will come. Old devil Purple Yin was lost in his thoughts. Suddenly his face turned gloomy and he raised his head. As for Tian Yitzi, after seeing Suchio escaping, he didn't have the intention to chase after her. He only sneered from afar, looking at the 2 escaping lights that were flying towards him. These 2 old things have come after all. But it doesn't seem like they're here to get in the way. Tian Yitzi sneered. No one knew what method he used, but the vertical eye flashed and the golden threads that bound the dark gold mountain was immediately dissolved into nothingness. Then, with a wave of his hand, the small mountain turned back into a dark gold brick and returned to his hand. The scenes of earth-shattering battles stirred the hearts of the 3 black demon guards in Ning City. There was fear, but more than that, excitement. In the past, under the leadership of Old Devil, there were countless battles of this level. However, Nangong's order was to stay put and observe the situation quietly. 4 guards of Ning City, listen to my order. Don't attack until the reinforcements arrive. Nangong's eyes were solemn as he gave the order in a deep voice. Each of the guards looked puzzled. They knew that there would be a great battle, but they didn't know that the enemy would be so strong. Now that they were informed that there would be reinforcements, other than the 7 Apricot 4 families, they could only think of Sinister Sparrow Sect. Could it be Sinister Sparrow Sect? However, if Suchio Xianzi is in danger, should I save her or not? Nangong was slightly hesitant. He knew that Ning Fan had always been merciful. Now that he saw old ancestor Tai Su confronting the 2 great evil sects for Ning City, he wouldn't believe that it had nothing to do with Ning Fan. In that case, he had no choice but to save her. Suchio continuously activated the butterfly wings and performed 2 instantaneous movements. She was panting, her face was pale and there were traces of blood at the corner of her lips. This instantaneous movement was just an additional ability of the profound Jade Spirit equipment. Its power was far inferior to the instantaneous movement of a nascent soul cultivator, but the consumption of magical power was extremely shocking. 2 instantaneous movements, one to seal the magical treasure of the mountain peak, and the other to attack with the water ring, had consumed more than half of Suchio's magical power. However, Tian Yitzi was still calm and composed on the opposite side. The gap between them was too shocking. I'm afraid it's hard for me to save Ning City alone. Senior brothers should be here soon. When Suchio's heart was in a mess, she suddenly sensed something and revealed a relieved smile. Above the sky, 2 auras that weren't any weaker than Suchio appeared above the sky of Ning City. 2 senior brothers, quickly join hands with me to restrain this devil. Suchio felt relieved. With the 2 senior brothers, Tian Yitzi might be able to win. However, the words of the 2 old men who rushed over were like a bucket of cold water to Suchio. Friend from Wu country, this matter is the idea of my junior sister alone. It has nothing to do with Great Void Sect. I hope you can forgive her recklessness. Zhong Xianzi and Bei Hongzi gazed deeply at Tian Yitzi with fear in their eyes. The 3rd vertical eye, the black jade coffin, the broken arm. All these made Zhong Xianzi afraid of someone for the first time in his life. If he didn't guess it wrong, this Tian Yitzi was probably. Chapter 132. Suchio twisted her body slightly, feeling extremely uncomfortable. Ning Fan, on the other hand, immediately let go of her after he retreated to the city wall of Ning City. Then he returned to the sky in a flash. Suchio was slightly startled. This white-robed youth didn't seem to have any intention of molesting her body. That's good. The silk was torn apart by Ning Fan, but the purplish-red color on Suchio's ankle deepened. It seemed like the poison was still there. However, she couldn't care less about the poison as her magical power was depleted. She felt slightly ashamed. She couldn't save Ning City, but it seemed like she was saved by Ning Fan. Sister, eat this pill candy. Brother Fan said that this pill can replenish qi and blood. Little Jiha, who was at the side, handed over an exquisite jade bottle. Inside the bottle, there was a faintly discernible pill fragrance of a third revolution pill as well as a trace of overly sweet fragrance. Suchio's eyes fell on the girl in front of her. She was slightly surprised and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She didn't take the pill candy for a long time. Since this girl addressed Ning Fan as Brother Fan, she must be Ning Fan's wife or concubine. However, this little girl who was only 14 years old actually addressed her as sister. Although she hadn't cultivated for 1,000 years, she had lived for 600 years. Being addressed as sister by a 14-year-old girl really made her dumbfounded. My name is Jihi. This pill candy was concocted by Brother Fan for me. It's not bitter. Jihi smiled brightly and shoved the pill bottle into Suchio's hand. Then, a trace of worry flashed across her eyes as she raised her head to look at the battle in the sky. She couldn't intervene in this battle. She could only hope that Brother Fan would win. Behind Jihi, Wuxia's eyes were filled with uneasiness. The bloody scenes seemed to be connecting her fragmented memories. Suchio held the pill bottle in her hand and remained silent. She couldn't refuse the generous gift from the girl in fox fur. She pulled out the bottle's stopper and was slightly surprised by the sweet fragrance of the pill. This is the bitter pill. She seemed to be talking to herself. The bitter pill was concocted from the 1,000-year-old bitter grass. It was a peak third revolution pill. It tasted bitter and hard for cultivators to swallow, but its medicinal effect was extremely outstanding. A single pill could allow a golden core cultivator to recover 10% of their dermic powers in an instant. There were more than 10 dark yellow pills in the pill bottle. These pills were priceless. Even Suchio Xianzi herself couldn't afford such high-grade spirit-recovering pills. She couldn't help but feel surprised. How generous was Ning Fan to his own woman? A bottle of peak third revolution pills was given to him just like that. Recalling Jihi's words, Suchio was shocked. If this pill was concocted by Ning Fan, wouldn't his concoction skill have reached the peak of third revolution? She took out a pill and put it into her mouth. Suchio's face suddenly showed a slight surprise. Then her bright eyes revealed a complicated and sentimental expression. The bitter pill was the most bitter, but this pill wasn't bitter at all. Instead, it was as sweet as honey. The reason was that an extremely expensive ice bee jelly had been mixed into the medicinal pill. Not only did it cause the medicinal pill to recover magic power more obviously, it also caused the originally bitter medicinal pill to become sweet. It's so sweet. Suchio looked at the pill bottle in her hand. Her eyes flashed with inexplicable emotion. If this pill was really concocted by Ning Fan for Jiha, then he must have taken great pains to integrate the ice bee jelly into the pill so that the little girl wouldn't suffer. No wonder this little girl called this pill a sugar pill. Sugar pill. It was her fortune to be able to marry an alchemist who cared for her so much. Originally, Suchio's impression of Ning Fan was merely that she didn't dislike him. The outside world had a widespread reputation of Ning Fan as a lecher. However, Suchio had once probed Ning Fan in Long Inclination Palace of Sinister Sparrow Sect. Although his primordial yang was lacking, he didn't seem to be a promiscuous person. Moreover, he hid it very well. That was why she gave Ning Fan a smile. Now that she was saved by Ning Fan and understood his meticulousness, her impression of Ning Fan had improved. She realized that she couldn't see through Ning Fan despite her 600 years of experience. The only thing she could see was the stubbornness in Ning Fan's heart, which was very similar to her. Why did he choose to cultivate the devil path? Suchio couldn't help but think. Shoot all the spiritual arrows and return to the city immediately. Rows of flaming arrows exploded in the sky, burning like fireworks. The refined corpses of the disciples of Heavenly Tao screamed miserably before turning into ashes. 10 arrows per person. 2,000 devil cultivators meant 20,000 spiritual arrows, and 200,000 immortal jades. Old Devil Purple Yin's eyes were filled with shock. He ordered the disciples of Extreme Yin to not rescue Heavenly Tao sect until the spiritual arrows were used up. The sect master of Heavenly Tao sect, Tian Yitzi, was sitting calmly on Mount Tai, as if he didn't care about the death of the 6,000 disciples. On the contrary, His eyes were filled with ridicule. After the 10 spiritual arrows were shot, the 4 guards of Ning City rode their demonic beasts and landed in the formation light of Ning City. The formation light contained a great mystery that was enough to cause great casualties to the enemies. Ning Fan wouldn't waste this grand formation. Before the reinforcements of Sinister Sparrow Sect and Fire Cloud Sect arrived, it was unwise to let the 4 guards of Ning City fight the 2 sects alone. The 4 guards of Ning City retreated back to the city like a receding tide. Ning Fan landed on the city wall, but his eyes were filled with puzzlement. Outside the city, there was a thick pile of corpse ashes on the ground. All 6,000 disciples of Heavenly Tao Sect had died in the fire arrows. However, Ning Fan didn't feel the joy of victory. Instead, there was a trace of uneasiness in his eyes. He had 3 questions. The first was whether the disciples of Heavenly Tao Sect were humans or corpses. If they were corpses, half of them still had the chi of a living person. If they were humans, their flesh had decayed. What was the difference between them and refined corpses? The second question was Tian Yixi's calmness. The death of 6,000 disciples had left behind corpse chi that filled the sky. Not only did the corpse chi not infuriate Tian Yixi, it made him look happy instead. The third question was the black coffin on Tian Yixi's back. There was a trace of extremely heavy chi in the coffin that made Ning Fan fearful. The third corpse pupil and the black coffin. This Tian Yixi wasn't simple. Why wasn't Tian Yixi angry when his disciples died? Ning Fan's heart had a vague feeling that he might have missed out something crucial. Nangong had the same expression as Ning Fan's. "Young master, should we change the plan a little?" Nangong said hesitantly. "No need. I want to confirm something. Activate the Forbidden Space formation and the defensive formation. When the enemy's attack reaches its peak, activate the countershock formation." Ning Fan's eyes flashed. This grand formation of Ning City was personally modified by him. Although it was only a nascent realm grand formation, it was in fact composed of 3 grand formations, 2 in the light and 1 in the dark. Putting aside the Forbidden Space formation and the defensive formation, the key was the countershock formation. The countershock formation was an extremely strange formation that could reflect all the enemy's attack. When the grand formation of Ning City was about to be broken, it would be the moment when the enemy's attack would reach its peak. At that time, if all the attacks were reflected in the sky, Tian Yixi returned to the central ship with a flash of traveling light. The vertical eye on his glabella flickered and looked at the formation light of Ning City, as if he had seen through something. However, his expression didn't change. Instead, he transmitted his voice to the direction of Extreme Een Gate. "Brother Purple Een, Elder Brother has used up the spiritual arrows of Ning City at the cost of 6,000 disciples. Should I hand over the task of breaking the grand formation to you?" "Hehe, of course. This old man is the one who led the attack on Ning City. Naturally, it's impossible for me to not contribute." Old Devil Purple Een laughed dryly and looked at Ning City with deep dread. 2,000 devil cultivators and 20,000 spiritual arrows. 10 volleys of arrows had eliminated 6,000 disciples of Heavenly Tao Sect. This made Old Devil Purple Een hesitate for the first time. Was it a mistake to attack Ning City? He knew that Black Devil Ning was Ning Fan. That was why he dared to attack Ning City, because he thought that he only had to face a Harmonious Spirit Jr., whose concoction technique had reached the 4th revolution. However, he didn't expect that old ancestor Suchio of Great Void Sect would intervene. He also didn't expect that Ning Fan didn't treat money as money. 200,000 immortal jades was almost all the wealth of Extreme Een Gate, but it was used to unleash 10 volleys of arrows. However, it seemed that the spiritual arrows of Ning City had missed their target. Otherwise, he would have shot the disciples of Extreme Een Gate after killing the disciples of Heavenly Tao Sect. He was afraid that the 4,000 disciples of Extreme Een Gate would be buried here. Without the spiritual arrows, the task of breaking the grand formation wouldn't be that dangerous. Even if the grand formation was a nascent realm grand formation, there would always be a way to break it. Once the grand formation was broken, killing the devil cultivators of Ning City would be like catching a turtle in a jar. The only thing he had to be wary of was Ning Fan's strange strength. Ningfan's body refining technique was extremely strong, just like the rumored Silverbone realm. No, he can't be at the Silverbone realm. Perhaps he has used some secret technique to temporarily reach the Silverbone body refining realm. It must be so. Old Devil Purple Een wouldn't believe that Ningfan could cultivate to such a high level of body refining realm at the age of 20. This was impossible, unless the Devil World, Demon World and Heaven Immortal World were the three great immortal worlds that could give birth to a 20-year-old Silverbone expert. But the Devil World, Demon World and Heaven Immortal World were the top three great worlds among the 9 worlds. The experts of any one of these worlds were enough to wipe out all the experts of the other 6 great immortal worlds combined. He pondered for a moment, and immediately gave an order to a few elders of Extreme Een Gate. Then, led by Old Monster GMO, a few old monsters of Extreme Een Gate steered 3 ships each and besieged the Grand Formation on 3 sides of Ning City. The disciples of Extreme Een Gate weren't flying corpses, nor did they have demon mounts. Vein-opening cultivators couldn't fly, so they could only form a formation on the ships to attack. Old Devil Purple Een didn't notice that when he gave the order to attack the Grand Formation of Ning City, Tian Yitzi, the master of Heavenly Dao Sect, revealed a strange sneer on his face. From the black coffin on his back, an old voice sneered in a low voice. Soon. The more people die, the better. The more corpse chi there is, it's enough for me to complete the second transformation of the corpse devil transformation. If I succeed, not only will I regain my nascent soul cultivation base, I will also have an immortal body. Old Monster GMO sat steadily on the ship. He was responsible for attacking the north gate of Ning City. His eyes swept across Ning City indifferently, revealing an extremely disdainful look. Nascent realm grand formation? Unfortunately, it's just a dead formation and doesn't seem to have any offensive force. I would like to see how many times this dead formation of yours can withstand the attacks of 1,000 disciples of my GMO palace. Attack. However, before he could give the order to attack, an orange-yellow formation light immediately rose 100 miles above Ning City. Immediately, all the ships of Heavenly Dao Sect, including the ship of Heavenly Dao Sect, began to fall. Forbidden flight? Insignificant trick? Pass this old man's order. Fire the spiritual artillery cannons, and destroy this formation light. The spiritual artillery cannons were more expensive than the spiritual arrows. One shot would cost 2,000 immortal jades. Each ship of Extreme Een Gate was equipped with 5 cannons. If the 3 ships fired the cannons at the same time, it would cost them 30,000 immortal jades. On the ship that was watching the battle from afar, Old Devil Purple Een revealed a look of heartache. 30,000 immortal jades was a huge figure to him. If it wasn't to capture Ningfan alive, he would never be willing to fire the spiritual artillery cannons. He wasn't Ningfan. He wouldn't burn money for fun. However, when he thought that he had only lost 30,000 immortal jades, while Heavenly Dao Sect had lost 6,000 disciples, Old Devil Purple Een rejoiced. Before this, he had never thought that he would have to pay such a heavy price to attack a mere Ning City. The 15 cannonballs didn't disperse the forbidden space formation light, but at least it thinned the formation light a little. Although the forbidden space formation light still existed, it was barely enough to stop the ships from falling. However, the ships were swaying in the air, and it was extremely inconvenient for them to move, so it still affected them quite a bit. Old Monster GMO shook his clothes and stared at the second defensive formation light of Ning City with a gloomy look. The forbidden flight formation light had blocked the attack. Now all they needed to do was to break this defensive formation light. Pass this old man's order. The 3,000 disciples of GMO Palace, Wuchang Palace and Nether Ghost Palace are to summon the body-protecting Een Pearl, and use it to break the formation of Ning City. As soon as the order came out, the 3,000 disciples of the 3 ships revealed a look of heartache. What? We actually have to use the body-protecting Een Pearl that we have refined for many years. The body-protecting Een Pearl was a concealed weapon that matched the cultivation technique of Extreme Een Gate. It was shaped like an apricot seed, and was refined inside the body. Cultivators of the same realm would often be ambushed by the disciples of Extreme Een Gate. The power of the Een Pearl was extremely strong, but it could only be used for a few attacks. After a few attacks, the magical power would be depleted and the cultivator would need to refine it back into the body. The body-protecting Yin Pearl was usually used as a life-saving measure for the disciples of extreme Yin Gate. But today, Old Monster GMO had ordered all the disciples to use their life-saving measure to attack a grand formation. There should be a slight chance of breaking the defensive formation light with 3,000 Yin Pearls, but in that case, the hard work of these vein-opening disciples over the years would be wasted. Each of the disciples was dissatisfied. But when Old Monster GMO glanced at them, no one dared to disobey. They had no choice but to spit out the Yin Pearls one by one, preparing to attack. From afar, Old Devil Purple Yin revealed a gratified smile when he saw Old Monster GMO being so sensible. He wasn't willing to use the spiritual artillery cannon to break the formation. The formation needed immortal jades to maintain, and the cannon fire needed immortal jades. The so-called breaking of the formation was just using immortal jades to smash immortal jades. Whoever had more immortal jades would win. Old Monster GMO had seen through Old Devil Purple Yin's thoughts. He catered to Old Devil Purple Yin's liking by letting his disciples use the Yin Pearls to break the formation, saving money for Old Devil Purple Yin. In Purple Yin's view, this kind of flattery was extremely useful. If Ning City is breached, GMO will be given a merit. Old Devil Purple Yin stood on the top of the ship, looking down at Ning City and sneered. In his opinion, the attack of 3,000 Yin Pearls would definitely break Ning City today. Chapter 133. On the ship, nearly 3,000 disciples of Extreme Yin Gate opened their mouths and spat out gloomy Yin beads from their dantian. Extreme Yin Gate was a first-rate evil sect after all. Since the disciples of the sect had made up their minds to attack, their expressions immediately turned fierce. Under Gmo's command, 3,000 Yin beads were shot out at the same time. With a sharp sound of ice, they collided with the formation light. This would be known as the death match between devils and Yu in the national ceremony of Yu country in the future. As soon as the battle began, it immediately became white-hot. A single Yin bead couldn't threaten a harmonious spirit expert, but 3,000 Yin beads attacking three sides at the same time. Even the formation light of the nascent realm grand formation began to be corroded by the baleful Yin Qi. Fortunately, there were immortal jades in each formation to replenish the formation power. So, after one round of attack, the grand formation didn't suffer any damage except for a slight weakening of its light. Even so, Old Monster GMO heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the Yin beads of 3,000 disciples were indeed able to break the grand formation. He was rather nervous before this. 3,000 disciples and 3,000 Yin beads shouldn't be a problem for them to withstand 5 rounds of attack. He would like to see if 5 rounds of attack could take down Ning City. Continue to attack the city. Under his command, 3,000 Yin beads dragged along Yin light and collided with the formation light, producing a series of intertwining loud noises. That power was like a magical treasure used to attack a city. It wasn't the small Yin beads, but the cannon fire of a spirit cannon. After the second round of attacks, the forbidden space formation was completely shattered, and cracks started to appear on the defensive formation. Ning Fan's expression didn't change at all when he saw the attacks. He was waiting for the enemy to exhaust their strength and launch a full-force attack. At that time he would activate the anti-shock formation light. A dot of starlight flickered on his glabella. Just as Tian Yitzi expected, this star was one of the great benefits that Ning Fan obtained when he broke through the Silver Bone realm. Each star of a fiend god contained an innate ability. As the number of stars increased, the number of abilities would increase and the power of the individual abilities would also increase. A fiend god of the Silver Bone realm could at most cultivate 1 star. A fiend god of the Golden Body realm could at most cultivate 2 stars. In ancient times, there were fiend gods who refined divine treasures and devil treasures in the stars. The effect was 10 times stronger than the refinement in the dantian. Naturally, only primordial mystical weapons could be placed into the star for refinement. If someone could see through the starlight, they would discover that the shadow of a starlight sword was immersed in countless lightning bolts within the star on Ning Fan's glabella. The immemorial mystical weapon he had absorbed into the first star was called the Separation Slayer, and the innate ability activated by the first star was called Thunder Manipulation. The first star of the Fiend God realm was similar to the vein-opening realm of cultivators. Most of them would determine the attribute of the Fiend God realm, and the attribute of the Fiend God realm that Ning Fan activated was lightning. In ancient times, only a few immortals who were blessed by the heavens could activate the Royal Thunder Star. In the ancient Heavenly Court's Thunder Division, there were even a few thunder gods whose power shook the world. As for devils, they would definitely not be able to activate the Star of Imperial Thunder, because thunder was the punishment of heaven and the blessing of God. Without divinity, there would be no thunder. After condensing the Star of Imperial Thunder, Ning Fan was even more convinced that his yin-yang devil vein was a strange devil vein that cultivated both fiend god and divine dual cultivation. In terms of power, this devil vein might not be as overbearing as the sun divine vein, as strange as the desolate cursed devil vein, and as hard to kill as the undead devil vein, but compared to other devil veins, it was obviously more mysterious. Ning Fan faintly felt that the only devil vein that could cultivate both fiend god and divine dual cultivation was the yin-yang devil vein. The ancient Chaos Great Emperor who cultivated both fiend god and divine dual cultivation might not be famous in ancient times, but this yin-yang devil vein contained the great Tao of heaven and earth. As for the dual cultivation of the yin-yang locket, Ning Fan could understand that the ancient Chaos Great Emperor first activated his divinity and used the yin-yang locket's plucking function to experience his desires and temper his devil heart. As for why the yin-yang locket could only restrain women but not men, perhaps the ancient Chaos Great Emperor had his own difficulties and reasons. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. With his Star of Imperial Thunder and his silver bone body refining technique, he could fight against ordinary nascent soul cultivators without losing, but it wouldn't be easy for him to win. His speed couldn't keep up, and the gap between his magical power was too huge. The reason why he wasn't defeated was because of his strength. If Tian Yitzi wasn't acting strangely, Ning Fan might have killed him with a punch when he was hugging Suqiu and sent out the 4 guards of Ning City, as well as the experts of Sinister Sparrow Sect and Fire Cloud Sect to help from the dark. However, even though Tian Yitzi's strength was comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, he couldn't injure Tian Yitzi severely. Moreover, Tian Yitzi's 3 corpse pupils and black coffin made Ning Fan feel a sense of danger. All these oddities made Ning Fan come up with a guess, but this guess needed to be verified, otherwise, it would be a variable in this battle. Ning Fan's eyes fell on the Grand Formation, feeling slightly hesitant. The Grand Formation of Ning City was a nascent realm Grand Formation. It had a total of 972 formation eyes, but each of them was only filled with 100 immortal jades. More immortal jades could be placed in the formation eyes to enhance its defensive power, but it wasn't necessary because Ning Fan had never decided to fight against Extreme Yin Gate and Heavenly Dao Sect with a mere nascent realm Grand Formation. This recoil formation was the first strike against Extreme Yin Gate. His original plan was to send out all the experts after the recoil, and it would be a life and death battle. But now, all the plans needed to be changed. Young Master, do you think it's time to counterattack? If the Grand Formation is broken? Nanyangzi's old eyes were filled with worry. Wait. It's not the right time yet. I have something that I need to confirm. Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. The 3rd round, the 4th round, all the way to the 9th round of attacks, Ning Fan was still calm and collected. At this moment, the immortal jades in the formation eyes were almost depleted. Outside the city walls, the formation light had turned illusory and was covered with cracks, as if it would break at any time. At this moment Ning Fan ordered, "Nangong, get ready to activate the formation." After the 9th round of attacks, the magical power of each of the disciples of Extreme Yin Gate was almost depleted. It wasn't easy for them to use the Yin Pearl to attack with their vein-opening cultivation base, and the power of the Yin Pearl was about to be depleted. There were even a few unlucky ones who died from the backlash of the Yin Pearl, due to the lack of magical power. This made each and every disciple of Extreme Yin Gate cautious, fearing that they would follow the footsteps of those unlucky ones. Old Monster GMO didn't pay too much attention to the exhaustion of the magical power of the disciples. His task was to break the grand formation of Ning City. As for the rest, he only needed all the experts above Harmonious Spirit Realm to attack. It would be more than enough to annihilate all the cultivators in Ning City. If it was just an ordinary gold core expert, perhaps he would be afraid of being besieged by vein-opening cultivators, but all the gold core old monsters on the scene were experienced in killing. Moreover, there were 2 old ancestor-level experts, Purple Een and Tian Yi. Vein-opening cultivators wouldn't be able to threaten the old ancestor, unless they used a joint attack formation. This is the last round of attack. Each and every one of you will use your blood essence to maximize the power of the Een Pearl, and destroy this formation. Jimo's order couldn't be rejected. Each and every disciple of Extreme Een Gate had a pale complexion. They bit the tip of their tongues and spat out their blood essence onto the Een Pearl. Immediately, the Een Pearl that was emitting murderous chi began to rotate rapidly, faintly emitting a strange bloody light. Its power seemed to be a few times stronger than when it was at its peak. Jimo's eyes fell on the grand formation and sneered. This was the last attack. After this attack, the grand formation of Ning City would be broken, and Ning City would be annihilated. GMO even had the idea to not only break the grand formation, but also to use the remaining power of the Een Pearl to attack the devil cultivators of Ning City. It would be best if they could cause some casualties. Do it. Rays of cold bloody light bombarded on the formation light. Its power wasn't any weaker than the spiritual arrows. The fragmented defensive formation light shattered with a crisp shattering sound. The blood-red light didn't lose any of its momentum as it splashed down towards Ning City, bringing with it a filthy aura, like a huge red cloth, covering Ning City. Under the influence of this filthy chi, many of the devil cultivators in the 4 armies of Ning City began to feel dizzy. The 3 god armies were fine, but among the Southern House battle guards, some of the cultivators who had just joined Ning City had never seen such danger before. Each and every one of them revealed a look of horror. If the bloody light touched their bodies, it would be hard for them to survive. Let's run. A few of the new devil cultivators said in a trembling voice. But immediately, they heard Situ's cold, sword-like voice. Those who flee die. After being shaken by Situ's sword chi, all the devil cultivators felt a chill in their hearts. How would they dare to flee? They could only hope that the leaders of Ning City had a way to deal with this bloody light. The commotion in Ning City caused GMO to be overjoyed. The grand formation of Ning City had been breached. Ning City was definitely going to be destroyed. It seemed like the people in Ning City were unstable. To them, this was definitely a piece of good news. Old Devil Purple Yin's eyes were smiling as he looked at Old Monster GMO approvingly. Apparently, he was very satisfied with the latter's ability to break the grand formation. 100 miles away, dozens of you country's righteous and devil old monsters were using their spirit sense to sense the situation of the battle. They shook their heads. As for the sect master of Purple Light Sect, he let out a deep sigh. The grand formation has been broken. Ning City is finished. Old Devil Purple Een is already extremely powerful. Heavenly Dao Sect Master is even more terrifying. Even Suqiu Xianzi of Great Void Sect isn't a match for him. Apart from the 2 of them, there are dozens of gold core old monsters involved in this battle. How can Ning City resist the attack of a group of experts? As for this Black Devil Ning, he hasn't shown himself yet. Could it be that he's afraid of the 2 powerful sects? Ning City will be annihilated. Black Devil Ning is, after all, a 4th Revolution Pill Master. If he had been famous for a long time, he certainly wouldn't be afraid of 2 gold core old ancestors. Even if he's not a match for them, given the network of a 4th Revolution Pill Master, perhaps there will be nascent soul experts from other countries who will be willing to help. However, the fact that Black Devil Ning hasn't shown himself has reminded me of a rumor. I've heard that when Ning City was first built, many people said that Black Devil Ning is revered Ning of Sinister Sparrow Sect, Ning Fan. At that time no one believed this rumor. Now I feel that there's a 10% possibility that revered Ning is Black Devil Ning. If that's the case, everything makes sense, but a 4th Revolution Pill Master who isn't even 20 years old? How is this possible? Elder Tongbien of corpse-seizing sect said in contemplation. This person had an extraordinary mind and was good at deduction. His words made many people ponder. The Battle of Ning City had begun, but Black Devil Ning still hadn't shown himself. Could it be that Black Devil Ning was really an 18-years-old youth? Did this mean that the entire Yu country had been deceived by Ning Fan? No, even Elder Tongbien, who came up with this conclusion, only had 10% certainty, and this 10% was based on countless facts and inferences. The other 90% of the reason was because Ning Fan was too young. Perhaps Ning City has a way to deal with the bloodlight. If you are Black Devil Ning. Tongbien's eyes stared at Ning Fan secretly with uncertainty. The murderous bloodlight descended upon the vast sky of Ning City. Its power was getting stronger and stronger. Lu Nanzi revealed a pained expression. Many of the fire maple trees near Ning City had begun to wither because of the tainted blood qi. Young master. He looked at Ning Fan pleadingly. Just a little bit more. Ning Fan's spirit sense was still observing Tian Yitzi. He found that Tian Yitzi's expression was calm all the time. It was as if he would be happy if Ning City was destroyed. It was as if he would benefit from the backlash of the formation and the death of Extreme Yin Gate. Sure enough. Nangong, activate the formation. Ning Fan revealed a look of pity. He could see through Tian Yitzi's trick. If he killed the disciple of Extreme Yin Gate, he was afraid that Tian Yitzi would gain great benefits, but now that the bloodlight had descended, he had no choice but to counterattack. The arrow was already on the bowstring. It had to be released. Yes. Nangong's eyes flashed with murderous intent. At this moment, a shocking change made the purple light sect master, who was sighing, choke on his breath and couldn't sigh anymore. His eyes turned cold. In his hand, a formation order compass began to rotate rapidly. Activate the formation. In an instant, a huge formation pattern that stretched for hundreds of miles emerged on the ground outside of Ning City, emitting a vicissitude qi. Rays of glaze-like formation light rose and spread out. In midair, countless starlight vortexes emerged one after another, accompanied by the roar of the ancient giants. The desolate murderous qi shocked all the cultivators in Ning City. No one had expected that there was a third formation hidden in Ning City. Although this formation was only at the nascent realm, it was too shocking. No one could recognize the origin of this grand formation. But no one could remain calm under the roar of the giants. The starlight vortexes reversed the direction of the attacks of the Yin Pearls with a strange force of law. At the same time, the whistling bloodlight turned around and shot back to the ship. Moreover, the power of the attack was increased by 30%. The sudden reversal of the attack had caught the disciples of Extreme Yin Gate, who had exhausted their magical power, by surprise. On the ship, Old Monster GMO and the other elders of Extreme Yin Gate widened their eyes in disbelief. What's going on? Why is there a third formation light? At this moment, Old Devil Purple Yin's heart shuddered. He realized that the grand formation in front of him was extremely similar to a terrifying grand formation recorded in the ancient records of his sect. Could it be, the Star Vortex ancient formation? Is it an immortal void grand formation? Not good, GMO. Quickly activate the defensive grand formation of the ship. However, Old Devil Purple Yin's words were still a step too late. The counterattack came too fast and too unexpected. Almost in an instant, 2 of the 3 attacking ships had suffered a devastating blow, resulting in a lot of casualties. Under the bloodlight, the disciples of Extreme Yin Gate who didn't have a strong cultivation base directly turned into a pool of blood and died. Chapter 134. Only Old Monster GMO, who was quick-witted and cunning, immediately activated the defensive formation of the ship when he saw that the situation was bad. As for the other 2 ships, they had already suffered a devastating blow before the elders guarding the ships could react. The bloodlight of the Yin Pearl could even shatter a nascent realm grand formation. When its power was increased by 30%, it would be a nightmare for the disciples of Extreme Yin sect who had exhausted all of their magical power. The disciples on the 2 ships didn't even have the time to scream before they were devoured by the bloodlight, turning into pus and blood, turning into a foul stench. The ship that was made of metal essence was corroded by the bloodlight, forming countless holes. The ship was already half destroyed. Among the 13 harmonious spirit elders guarding the ship, 9 of them were killed by the bloodlight. Only 4 of them escaped with serious injuries. As for the 2 gold core elders guarding the ship, although they escaped from the bloodlight, they were also in a sorry state and suffered serious injuries. The ship that had lost control fell to the ground, smashing countless stones and soil. Its light dimmed. Those disciples of extreme insect who were lucky enough to survive the bloodlight were also killed by the fall of the ship. It was a tragic sight to behold. At the same time, streams of invisible corpse chi were spreading around Ning City. The sudden reversal of the situation shocked the old monsters of the righteous and evil sects who were watching from afar. They couldn't imagine that there was a grand formation in this world that could reflect attacks. In Ning City, including the 3 black demon armies, there was dead silence. Most of them believed that Ning Fan had a way to deal with the bloodlight, but they never thought that it would be such a strange method. A huge doubt arose in everyone's mind. What kind of formation was this? How could it have the heaven-defying effect of reflecting attacks? Unfortunately, Ning Fan wouldn't answer their doubts. He looked at the gradually fading formation light, and shook his head gently, feeling a little regretful. As Purple Een had expected, this formation was an immortal void realm formation. Unfortunately, it was only an incomplete formation and only had the power for 1 attack. Even with Ning Fan's means, he could only arrange a nascent realm formation to borrow a trace of the rebound force. The grades of formations, starting from Spirit Realm, were Core Realm, Nascent Realm, Transformation Realm and Void Realm. A Void Realm Grand Formation was an extremely profound formation. It was further divided into Mortal Void and Immortal Void. A Mortal Void Grand Formation like the Mountain and River Reversal Formation could injure a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. However, that was all it could do. A powerful Void Fragmentation Realm expert might not necessarily be afraid of a Mortal Void Grand Formation. However, the might of an Immortal Void Realm Grand Formation was something that even a 9th Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm expert, or a Rogue Immortal, who had just broken through to the 9th Heavenly Layer and failed to become an Immortal would find it hard to resist the might of an Immortal Void Realm Grand Formation. The word Immortal was enough to kill all the cultivators in the 7 realms of cultivation. The Star Vortex Ancient Formation was one of the rarest Immortal Void formations in the ancient times. In Ancient Chaos's memory, it was a very high-grade formation. The trace of Star Vortex power made Ancient Chaos gasp in admiration. Unfortunately, this formation was incomplete. However, it was enough to deal with a mere vein-opening cultivator. The sun is the saint, the moon is the emperor and the star is the fiend god. Ning Fan stared at the dissipating star vortex and stroked the star on his glabella with his finger. Stars are fiend gods. The divine ability of fiend gods is the manifestation of stars? Celestial Emperor implied the word emperor. Could it be that the Celestial Emperor's divine ability was manifested from the moon? As for the saint, what was that? Ancient Chaos's memory didn't mention anything about this. Perhaps Ancient Chaos didn't know about it. Or perhaps he was following Emperor Sun's decree and didn't dare to tell his descendants. Different from Ning Fan's cold thoughts, the tragic death of 2,000 extreme Een disciples made Old Devil Purple Een burn with anger and roar. As for Tian Yitzi, the corner of his mouth curved into an evil arc, as if everything was within his expectation. The bloody scene made little Jiha feel like vomiting. Even Suqiu, the famous old ancestor of Yu country, couldn't bear to watch it. However, none of these could touch Ning Fan's heart. His expression was still cold. Since the day he first met the old devil, he had seen all kinds of bloody scenes. His body stood still and his spirit sense swept across Tian Yitzi. Not even a trace of the latter's expression escaped Ning Fan's observation. Tian Yitzi's qi became thicker after absorbing the corpse qi of 2,000 disciples. This wasn't an illusion. And the trace of qi in the black coffin seemed to be even more dangerous. Ning Fan's heart sank. This person must have the immemorial evil vein. A rare kind of evil vein. Corpse evil vein. Sure enough, this Tian Yitzi isn't a human, but a living corpse. At this moment, The master must be hiding in the black coffin. This person had used the corpse transformation technique to turn all the experts of Heavenly Tao sect into corpses, from the sect master to the disciples. To be able to turn a half-step nascent soul realm expert into a living corpse, the master's cultivation base must be at the nascent soul realm. However, there must be a reason why this person didn't show himself or make a move despite having a nascent soul cultivation base. If he wasn't seriously injured, he must be at the critical juncture of corpse devil transformation. Corpse devil transformation. The first transformation is to become a corpse, the second transformation is to become a devil, and the third transformation is to become an immortal. This person must be between the first and second transformation of corpse devil transformation. I can't let him absorb more corpse chi. Otherwise, if he breaks through the second transformation and becomes a corpse devil. At this moment, Ning Fan's expression didn't change, but his heart was filled with fear because he was 70% sure that his guess was correct. Thinking of the two words corpse devil, Ning Fan couldn't help but think of the female corpse who was still caressing the lid of the coffin in his cauldron ring. There were countless descendants of fiend god in the heaven and earth, and the nascent soul expert hiding in the black coffin might be the first descendant of a fiend god that he would have a hard time fighting against. However, so what if he was a fiend god? So what if he was a nascent soul expert? So what if he was a Bone Sovereign? Wasn't Bone Sovereign's clone also killed by Ning Fan? Ning Fan's eyes flickered with cold light and ordered, Nangong, inform the experts of Sinister Sparrow Sect and Fire Cloud Sect to reinforce them through the fire vein. Those below Harmonious Spirit Realm shouldn't get involved in this battle. The fewer the people, the better. This yes. Nangong hesitated for a moment, then immediately answered and took out a sound-transmitting stone to inform Ning Fan. The original plan was to send countless experts of Fire Cloud Sect and Sinister Sparrow Sect to reinforce them through the fire vein, giving Extreme Een Gate and Heavenly Tao Sect a fatal blow. But now, it seemed like there was an unforeseen change in the plan, causing the young master to order all cultivators below Harmonious Spirit Realm to stay out of the battle. What made Nangong admire the most was the method that Ning Fan came up with to pass through the fire vein. In order to help Ning City without being noticed, Ning Fan had ordered his men to dig out hundreds of miles of underground fire vein, using the spiritual chi of the earth vein to conceal their chi, allowing them to reinforce the city. Nangong couldn't think of such a method. His experience might be richer than Ning Fan's, but his wisdom seemed to be lacking. Is it the sect master of Sinister Sparrow Sect? Something has changed, Nangong said in a low voice in a soundproof formation. Old Demon Purple Een was enraged. He glared at Old Monster GMO, as if he wanted to devour him whole. 2,000 disciples died in vain because of GMO's carelessness. No, the one who should be blamed was Ning Fan. Good, good, good. Ning Fan, if you have the guts, pass down the order of my sect. All elders above Harmonious Spirit Realm are to massacre Ning City at all costs. Purple Een was like an enraged lion. He turned into a ray of light and rushed towards the city wall. He was in charge of capturing Ning Fan, while the other elders were in charge of killing to vent their anger. Many elders of Extreme Een Gate had blood-red eyes. Some of their juniors were among the disciples who died tragically just now. 42 Harmonious Spirit experts and 7 Gold Core experts rushed towards Ning City in a ray of light. Except for Tian Yitzi, all the experts of Heavenly Tao Sect remained motionless like refined corpses. Tian Yitzi, who was about to kill, suddenly halted his steps. His vertical eye flashed with slight surprise as he looked at the underground fire vein. This is... Tian Yitzi's eyes flashed with astonishment, but Purple Een, who was focused on capturing Ning Fan, didn't notice the change underground. The hatred of the 17 concubines being taken away, the hatred of the tragic death of 2,000 disciples, and the future of controlling a 4th Revolution Dan Master to dominate Yu country after capturing Ning Fan. All kinds of thoughts reverberated in Purple Yin's heart, turning into a trace of joy from extreme anger. Purple Een took the lead and rushed to 100 jong away from the city wall. Those devil cultivators who came to protect Ning Fan were swept away by a cold wind with a flick of his sleeve. As for the magical treasures of the devil cultivators, They were all absorbed by Purple Yin's purple alms bowl. Die for this old man. He shouted loudly and spurted out a mouthful of Dan Revolution Chi from 100 zhang away. His 5 fingers turned into a claw and grasped at Ning Fan from a distance. Immediately, his vigorous magical power turned into a cold wind. A trace of soul power was extracted from the cold wind and turned into an ethereal and vicissitude wind claw that clawed at Ning Fan. Nascent soul magical art, Wind Soul Claw. This claw was a nascent soul magical art. It extracted a trace of wind soul power and evolved it into a claw. It was a piece of cake to capture a gold core cultivator. Except for old ancestor level experts, ordinary gold core old monsters couldn't even touch the edge of the wind soul claw. So how could they resist it? Purple Yin believed that Ning Fan couldn't escape from this claw because he wasn't a half-step nascent soul old monster. The only thing that worried Purple Yin was that Ning Fan had a lot of tricks up his sleeves. If he escaped, it would be troublesome. However, out of Purple Yin's expectation, Ning Fan didn't have any intention of escaping. An icy rainbow flashed under his feet. Ning Fan didn't dodge or evade, but rushed towards the wind claw. His eyes flashed with cold light and starlight flashed on his glabella. He slapped the wind soul claw with a thunderous sound. Imperial lightning. His 5 fingers grabbed the wind soul claw, causing it to lose its balance and explode. This scene was completely out of Purple Yin's expectation. He didn't expect Ning Fan to have the means to attack the ethereal soul claw. What made him even more shocked was that Ning Fan's palm force could shatter the claw mark formed by a nascent soul magical art. To be able to shatter a nascent soul magical art. Is this kid really a silverbone cultivator? Not good. Purple Yin didn't believe in Ning Fan's body refining technique before, but now he had no choice but to believe it. Because of his carelessness, Ning Fan had forced him to a few meters away from him. Facing the wind from the palm, Purple Yin's expression changed dramatically. Silverbone. It can't be wrong. As the palm approached him, Purple Yin realized that this palm was too terrifying. He couldn't use his body to block it. In a flash, he opened his mouth without hesitation and spat out a bowl-sized cold bead. Then he shook his sleeve and took out a handful of red sand, rolling it towards Ning Fan. That bead was the Yin bead that Purple Yin had refined for countless years. It was a treasure formed by fusing it with the gold core in his body. The signature cultivation method of Extreme Yin Gate was to refine the Yin bead. After breaking through to the gold core realm, one would fuse the Yin bead with the gold core and cultivate the gold core into the strongest magical treasure. The power of a Yin bead was stronger than ordinary peak high-grade magical treasures. It could even trigger a trace of supreme-grade magical treasure. As for the red sand, it was called consciousness-shattering sand. It contained blood chi and was specialized in attacking a cultivator's sea of consciousness. In Purple Yin's opinion, the Yin bead was enough to resist Ning Fan's attack. As for the consciousness-shattering sand, it wouldn't be a problem for it to shatter Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. After all, no matter how strong Ning Fan's body was, his sea of consciousness was still weak. However, all his means were extremely ridiculous in Ning Fan's eyes. The consciousness-shattering sand was smashed by Ning Fan's palm without any resistance. As for the gold core Yin bead that was comparable to a supreme-grade magical treasure, it was caught by Ning Fan's palm. His eyes turned cold, and he clenched it hard. The gold core was shattered. Ah! Old Devil Purple Yin let out a wail. His gold core was shattered. His cultivation base immediately fell to late gold core realm, and there were signs of it continuing to fall. He looked at Ning Fan with extreme fear. He had never expected that Ning Fan's body would be so strong. It seemed to be much stronger than the rumored Silverbone realm. Moreover, the consciousness-shattering sand that could shatter a cultivator's sea of consciousness had no effect on Ning Fan at all. Purple Yin didn't know that Ning Fan was just a white-robed incarnation without a sea of consciousness. How could it shatter? Even if Ning Fan had a sea of consciousness, how could it be shattered by the consciousness-shattering sand given the strength of his sword consciousness? As for the method of fusing the Yin bead with the gold core, it was indeed mysterious and could enhance the strength of the gold core. But Purple Yin had neglected the essentials. The founder of Extreme Ingate created the method of strengthening the gold core, not to let the cultivators use the gold core as a magical treasure, but to enhance the defense of the gold core, to prevent the gold core from being damaged when the gold core cultivators of the sect fought. At the same time, it laid the foundation for the gold core cultivators to form their nascent soul. The stronger the gold core, the higher the chance of forming the nascent soul. This method of fusing the gold core made Ning Fan's eyes lit up. Unfortunately, using the gold core as a magical treasure was perhaps the biggest mistake of old devil Purple Yin's life. The gold core shattered. Purple Yin spurted out a mouthful of blood. He forcefully suppressed his rapidly declining cultivation and retreated. Run. He must run. He absolutely couldn't catch Ning Fan today. On the contrary, if he didn't suppress his declining cultivation, his cultivation would fall to intermediate gold core realm in another hour, or even further. However, Ning Fan wouldn't let him escape even if he wanted to. Ning Fan turned into an icy rainbow and chased after him. He flicked his sleeve and took out a peak middle grade long whip, lashing it at Purple Yin. A peak middle grade magical treasure shouldn't be a threat to Purple Yin, but at this moment, he was suppressing his declining cultivation and driving the immortal cloud to escape at full speed. He didn't care about Ning Fan's sneak attack. After being lashed by Ning Fan's whip, his magical force immediately loosened, and his cultivation began to decline again. Although he wasn't seriously injured, his chi was in chaos. Ning Fan, don't go too far. Purple Yin roared angrily. So what if I'm bullying you? Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. The second whip came, lashing Purple Yin down from the immortal cloud. A starlight appeared on his glabella. Ning Fan raised his palm and stepped on the icy rainbow, preparing to give Purple Yin a fatal blow. Purple Yin, who was falling from the sky and losing his magical force, revealed a look of fear and confusion. He had come to Ning City once before. That day he saw the fake Black Devil and Ning Fan, but he didn't pay attention to them. Ning Fan was just a harmonious spirit expert at that time, not worthy of his attention. Today, however, he had witnessed Ning Fan's full strength in Ning City. He couldn't resist. Even if he was cautious, he would only have a 50-50 chance of winning against Ning Fan. Due to his carelessness, his gold core was destroyed by Ning Fan. The current Purple Yin could only be defeated or even killed by Ning Fan. Ning Fan, don't force me. If you do, I will self-detonate and perish together with you. If you let me go, I am willing to share everything in Extreme Ingate with you. Purple Yin's eyes were filled with madness. His dream of dominating Yu country had been shattered. At this moment, he only wanted to protect himself. All these moves happened in a split second. The elders who followed Purple Yin and prepared to massacre Ning City were all dumbfounded by Purple Yin's defeat. They didn't expect that Purple Yin would use a half-threatening and half-begging tone to beg Ning Fan. Each of the elders stopped in the air as if there were nails under their feet. How would they dare to massacre Ning City? All the cultivators who were watching the battle were dumbfounded when they saw Ning Fan, who looked so weak, break his wind claw and gold core, defeating Old Devil Purple Yin. Before this, no one would have thought that Old Devil Purple Yin, who dominated Yu country, would be forced into a corner by a newly advanced revered devil of Sinister Sparrow sect. From today onwards, Ning Fan's status would rise to the level of an old ancestor, or even higher. Old Devil Purple Yin begged for mercy and threatened Ning Fan. But in Ning Fan's eyes, his begging and threats turned into a trace of mockery. How could he let Purple Yin go? Nurturing a tiger would only bring about trouble. Almost at the same time, the underground fire vein of Ning City suddenly burst into flames. Experts from the fire vein flew out one after another. Each of them had a terrifying aura. A loud and clear voice resounded in the sky. Little friend, hand over Purple Yin's life to this old man. All right. Sensing the familiar and vigorous aura of this voice, Ning Fan's eyes became relaxed. He withdrew his palm wind and the traveling light. He didn't care who killed Purple Yin. In short, Purple Yin must die. Letting that person kill Purple Yin was a promise he had made, wasn't it? The leader of this group of experts who suddenly appeared was Sinister Sparrow and old ancestor Jingzhua. The one who spoke was undoubtedly Jingzhua. As soon as they appeared, Sinister Sparrow immediately led a group of gold core experts to surround the elders of Extreme Een Gate. As for old ancestor Jingjua, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. The regret of his life turned into a palm of lightning, which carried a tyrannical aura comparable to that of a nascent soul realm expert. It heavily hit Purple Yin's back. The lightning roared and pierced through his heart. Lightning Palm. It was the lightning palm that contained Jingjua's murderous intent for hundreds of years. Purple Yin, I have waited for the opportunity to kill you for too long. Too long. You die. A palm of lightning shattered old devil Purple Yin's body. His soul struggled bitterly in the lightning, but Jingjua didn't have the intention to let his soul enter samsara. Purple Yin's soul couldn't believe that he couldn't see through Jingjua's cultivation base. If he wasn't severely injured, he wouldn't have been killed by Jingjua's lightning palm. But most likely he wouldn't be Jingjua's opponent anymore. You've broken through? Purple Yin didn't even have time to question him before he was struck by the lightning with all the questions he had. A miserable shriek resounded in the sky. The shriek was like a bucket of cold water splashing on the hearts of every onlooker. Each of their eyes swept past Ningfan and Jingjua. All of them were filled with dread. But that wasn't the end of old ancestor Jingjua's tyrannical strength. The other elders of Extreme Een Gate were besieged by the other experts of Sinister Sparrow Sect and Fire Cloud Sect. Revered Black Yanbai, former revered White by Fading, Fire Cloud Sect's Buquangfan. Each of them was a gold core old monster who had been famous for a long time. Every time they used their magical treasures, they could take away the lives of several harmonious spirit experts. In just a few breaths, all the harmonious spirit experts of Extreme Een Gate were dead. As for Jingjua, after killing Purple Yin, the hatred in his eyes didn't diminish at all. With a flash of light, he blocked the path of retreat of 8 gold core experts of Extreme Een Gate. Then he waved his palm and threw out a fiery red daggeraxe. With the magic power of nascent soul realm, the daggeraxe turned into countless fiery lights and engulfed the 8 gold core experts. Apart from Old Monster GMO and the other 4 who paid a huge price to use their life-saving means to escape the flames, the remaining 3 gold core old monsters were burned into ashes by the flames. All the experts who were watching the battle felt their hearts tremble at the same time. Those who were below the gold core realm couldn't resist Jingjua's chi. Those who were above the gold core realm revealed a look of horror. They could feel a trace of nascent soul chi from Jingjua's body. Deep shock appeared on their faces. After exchanging glances, all of them heaved a sigh of relief. They were shocked that the appearance of Sinister Sparrow Sect and Fire Cloud Sect was too unexpected. They were shocked that both the righteous and evil sects were helping Ning City at the same time. What was even more shocking was that old ancestor Jingjua seemed to have succeeded in forming his nascent soul, becoming a nascent soul cultivator. Jingjua has actually formed his nascent soul. Nascent soul, nascent soul. Even Bei Hongzi, who was 500 miles away, was shocked after hesitating for a while. He was dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. But it couldn't be wrong. Jingjua could easily kill 3 gold core experts and injure 5 others. There was no other explanation other than breaking through to the nascent soul realm. U Country finally had its first nascent soul cultivator. Was Fire Cloud Sect going to unify U Country? Was it going to replace Great Void Sect and become the #1 sect of the righteous path? Bei Hongzi's heart was in a mess. He mocked himself inwardly. If Great Void Sect's master, Zhong Xianzi, knew about this, he wouldn't feel good. Then something that made him even more dumbfounded happened. He thought that it was enough to shock him when he saw Ningfan defeat Old Devil Purple Yin with just a few moves. He thought that Jingjua breaking through to the nascent soul realm was enough to shock him. But none of the shock was as shocking as the scene at this moment. After the awe-inspiring Jingjua killed Purple Yin and the 3 gold core experts, he didn't pursue the remaining evil cultivators. Instead, he stepped on the void and approached Ningfan. When he was 3 zhang away from Ningfan, he suddenly knelt down to the ground. I can't express my gratitude with words from now on. Jingjua's life and death will be in revered Ning's hands. Today, all the cultivators who invaded Ning City, regardless of righteous or evil, will be Jingjua's archenemy and must be killed. A dignified nascent soul expert, an old monster who was going to unify U Country, actually knelt down in front of Ning Fan. Sinister Sparrow Sex revered Ning killed Purple Een with a palm strike and made Jing Zhua, a nascent soul expert, kneel down. Was this person really a youth who wasn't even 20 years old? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.